Chapter 990, Gods vs. Immortals. Meng Hao glanced over the three. Although he was a little taken aback by the appearance of Wang Tengfei, he still chose to speak in this manner. The faces of these three newcomers didn't flicker in the slightest in response to his words. As for Jai Yin, her face wasn't even visible. "Elder brother Meng, my master is from the immortal ancient Taoist rite," said Zhou Shui. He was smiling on the surface, but his heart was as cold as ice. Before he could finish speaking, Meng Hao looked directly at him, his expression frigid. He said nothing further but instead advanced. 33 immortal souls exploded with power, and his 123 meridians rotated, surging with shocking power. Instantly, he was in front of Zhou Shui, launching a punch. Zhou Shui's eyes flickered with coldness as he performed an incantation gesture with his right hand. His energy rose up, causing ripples to spread out as power equivalent to 140 meridians exploded out. His immortal souls appeared, and at the same time, a spark of flame appeared directly above his head, from within which emanated the sounds of scriptures being chanted. Instantly, Zhou Shui's aura exceeded that of Zhao Yifan. He quickly finished his incantation gesture, and then formed his hand into a palm, which he thrust out to meet Meng Hao's blow. A boom could be heard, and Zhou Shui's face fell as his entire arm vibrated. At the same time, he unleashed the full power of his cultivation base, after which a ripping sound could be heard, and the chanting of the scriptures grew louder. 9 cycles Taoist magic. As soon as Zhou Shui's voice rang out, the chanting of scriptures surged, transforming into strange ripples that reduced the power of Meng Hao's attack 9 times in a row. After the 9th reduction, the attack was easily countered by Zhou Shui's palm. Meng Hao's expression was the same as ever as he looked over at Zhou Shui. "Fellow Taoist Meng, is this the full power of the immortal realm paragon's attack?" he asked coolly. However, deep inside he was shocked. Seeing what he had just seen and feeling it personally left him greatly shaken. "If that's all you have, then it's time to see how you like one of my attacks." With that, rumbling emanated out of his body as 99 immortal dragons suddenly appeared around him. The immortal dragons roared, causing strange colors to flash in the air and the heavens to tremble. This scene caused widespread shock among the cultivators of the 9th mountain and sea. 99 meridians. The immortal ancient Taoist rite has profound resources hidden away. I can't believe they have a disciple with 99 meridians. That's only one short of 100. It looks like Zhou Shui isn't too happy to be fighting Meng Hao. If the immortal ancient Taoist rite had given Him that meridian, he would have 100 right now. Zhou Shui's eyes flickered as the 99 dragons roared, and his immortal souls appeared. Even as the ripples of the 9 cycles Taoist magic spread out, he took a deep breath, and what he absorbed was the chi of heaven and earth from the starry sky. After taking one breath, his immortal meridians thrummed. Immediately, the number of dragons exceeded 99. Soon there were 100, 108, 115, 127, 136, until there were a total of 148. This scene caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Zhou Shui's aura roared into the sky, and within his eyes appeared a cold light as he looked toward Meng Hao and barked, "One breath, slay 3 corpses." Zhou Shui's eyes flickered with killing intent. He knew that he had no hope of actually defeating Meng Hao, but he still hoped to be able to fight him to a draw and prove that he was the true chosen of the 9th mountain and sea. As he spoke, his aura surged out, and his immortal meridians caused strands of immortal chi to form a huge stream of white smoke that shot toward Meng Hao. It was only one stream, but it emanated a terrifying aura that seemed capable of slaughtering anyone in the immortal realm. Everyone in the 9th mountain and sea was astonished. The only person whose expression was the same as ever was Meng Hao. His mouth twisted into a cold smile, as his 123 immortal meridians caused 123 portions of immortal power to merge together into his fist. This could be counted as a secret magic that resulted from corroborating the Tao on his own to reach true immortality. Yet again, one punch rocketed through the air. When Meng Hao fought earlier, it might have seemed like he was using all of the power that his immortal meridians could provide. However, he had actually employed no skill whatsoever in his attacks, and had relied only on brute force to crush everyone. Now was the first time that he was using a true immortal secret magic, unifying the power of his immortal meridians into one force, to deliver a true immortal realm attack. The one punch generated a massive wind that caused the stars to flicker. Shockingly, numerous soul lamps appeared around Meng Hao, causing Zhou Shui to gape in shock. His eyes went wide, and even as the astonishment washed through him, Meng Hao's fist slammed into the stream of smoke. A huge boom rang out as the smoke instantly collapsed. Blood sprayed from Zhou Shui's mouth, and his body very nearly exploded. Shouting loudly, he utilized the 9 cycles Taoist magic, but even after reducing the power 9 times, he was still sent flying backward like a kite with its string cut. Blood spurted out all over his body until he was soaked. His aura was vastly weakened, and the flame of his life force flickered on the verge of being extinguished. "You," he said. His face was pale, his scalp numb. Vibrations surged through his body to the point where all his immortal meridians were about to collapse. In the midst of his astonishment, a look of terror appeared on his face, and without hesitation, he produced a jade slip which he crushed, teleporting him away immediately. The 9th mountain and sea went deathly quiet, as everyone mentally replayed the image of Meng Hao's attack just now. That's the power of the immortal realm paragon. Strong, so strong, that strike was comparable to the ancient realm. That attack, even someone in the ancient realm with one extinguished soul lamp, might have a hard time fighting back against it. The 9th mountain and sea was shaken, as Meng Hao turned his head to face Wang Tengfei and Jia Yin. Jia Yin's face was grim, and she backed up toward the teleportation portal. Apparently, she had decided not to attack Meng Hao. It was as if she had realized that Meng Hao, as of this moment, was someone others in the immortal realm couldn't beat. Fan Donger's eyes were wide, and Li Linger's face was ashen. Zhao Yifan was smiling bitterly, and as for Taiyang Zai and the rest of the group of 10 or so from earlier, all of them were sighing. They now knew that earlier, Meng Hao was only fighting to get used to his cultivation base. Therefore, he let them attack him. Now, he had no need for such a thing, and if they tried to attack him again, the result would be very different. Meng Hao was someone not to be provoked. Wang Tengfei looked up, and the stars on his forehead flickered as he advanced by a pace. "Meng Hao, I won't waste your time. One punch, just one punch." His eyes flickered with obsession. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time, and in fact, there was no one except the two of them who truly knew all the details of their past. Meng Hao looked at Wang Tengfei. He was still a bit shocked to find out that Wang Tengfei was alive, especially considering that he had personally seen him die at the hands of the 10th Wang clan patriarch. Well aware of what Meng Hao was wondering, Wang Tengfei offered an explanation, his voice soft. "The 10th patriarch helped me." Meng Hao looked back at Wang Tengfei silently, and his heart filled with complicated thoughts as he recalled how they had first met all those years ago. It was very likely that Wang Tengfei had seen the flying rain dragon that had become one of his immortal meridians. "Very well," he said, nodding. Wang Tengfei's eyes gleamed with the desire to fight. As he looked at Meng Hao, his energy began to rise up. He possessed no secret magic, and the number of immortal meridians that he had opened could not be considered especially outstanding in the current age. However, he did have access to some of the deep resources built up by the 10th Wang clan patriarch. He also had Meng Hao's perfect foundation, as well as the bloodline power he had acquired in the moment of becoming a true immortal. That bloodline power was something shocking even in the Wang clan, because it was so rare. It was the power of gods. In the Wang clan, this bloodline power of Wang Tengfei was the power of a god. What he walked was not the path of immortal ascension. What he walked was the path of godly ascension. This battle was a fight between gods and immortals. Wang Tengfei threw his head back and roared. Cracking sounds emanated out from his body, and in the blink of an eye, he grew until he was 30 meters tall, 300 meters tall, 3,000 meters. He looked completely and utterly shocking to anyone who saw him, and the area around him instantly filled with rifts and fissures. He continued to grow larger with maddening speed, and within a few breaths of time, he was directly in front of Meng Hao, a giant fully 6,000 meters tall. The sudden appearance of this giant filled Meng Hao's mind with shock, and caused him to think back to the vision he had experienced in the immortal ancient Taoist Rite Temple, in which he saw a giant. That giant actually looked very similar to Wang Tengfei. 1. The visions of the giant were in chapters 807, 812, and 819. Both had thick, tough skin covered with magical symbols, and both had stars on their foreheads. The main difference was that the giant in his vision had more stars than Wang Tengfei. All cultivators who saw what was happening were shocked. Wang Tengfei roared, causing a chaotic, primeval sensation to fill the hearts of anyone who heard it. His right hand clenched into a fist and he punched out toward Meng Hao. That fist flew like a gigantic meteor, heading toward Meng Hao with shocking speed. Meng Hao's expression was one of concentration. He was aware that there was something special about the Wang clan. He had been able to tell that from the strange divine ability used by Wang Mu earlier. In fact, he had even experienced other strange Wang clan divine abilities on planet South Heaven. However, he had never imagined that the Wang clan blood contained the power of gods. Just exactly how powerful was the first patriarch of the Wang clan, he thought. He had no idea what era that Wang clan patriarch lived in, but he was now intensely curious about him. However, now was not the time to ponder such matters. He clenched his right hand tightly into a fist, causing popping sounds to ring out. Then he unleashed his secret magic, causing his 123 immortal meridians to fuse with the power of his true immortal fleshly body. It was as if his fleshly body was now 123 times more powerful, and as he punched out, the starry sky around him was shattered. The power contained in his fist caused the hearts of all observing cultivators to quiver. In the blink of an eye, Meng Hao flew up to make contact with Wang Tengfei's fist. When the two slammed into each other, a huge boom echoed out. Stars collapsed and the heavens went dark. A massive, ring-like shockwave spread out in all directions. Blood sprayed out of Wang Tengfei's mouth as he was sent staggering backward. His enormous body rapidly shrank in size, and after falling back more than 10 paces, he was back to normal, his face ashen. He coughed up a few more mouthfuls of blood, and his right arm appeared to be completely shattered. He looked up at Meng Hao. "I'm definitely going to defeat you one day," he said, sounding incredibly determined. With that, he turned, coughed up another mouthful of blood, and then transformed into a beam of light which shot off into the distance. Meng Hao stood there silently. He slowly lowered his fist to find that his arm was trembling. Wang Tengfei's staggering power contained a domineering force that could destroy everything. Meng Hao looked down at the back of his hand and the wound that had been left behind there. This was actually the first time he had been injured while fighting these chosen. Godly power, he thought, eyes flickering with anticipation. Now it's time to take care of that personal matter. He looked down toward planet East Victory and Fang Wei, who hovered there in midair. Once again, their gazes locked. "Fang Wei," he said softly, shooting toward planet East Victory under the shocked gazes of everyone present. "Fang Hao." Fang Wei's eyes gleamed with obsession as he began to fly up to meet Meng Hao. Down on the ground below, Fang Zixian's eyes flickered with a venomous, murderous intent. Fang Wei's grandfather narrowed his eyes. Within his hand was a jade slip that he was prepared to crush at a moment's notice. However, he seemed to be hesitating. Once he crushed that jade slip, there would be no turning back. Chapter 991, Fang Wei vs. Meng Hao. Meng Hao had been waiting for this battle for a very long time. However, to him, it was not some destined battle of fate, but rather, merely something that would happen in the course of getting his possessions back. In contrast, it was a destined battle of fate for Fang Wei. To him, a defeat in this fight would be unacceptable. To lose would mean to lose everything, and he could not allow something like that to happen. He could not allow someone to trample upon his position as chosen within the clan. What most people saw was only the glory that he had achieved. They did not see how hard he had worked, earnestly and obsessively, after Meng Hao had left the clan. When Meng Hao left, it was as if a giant mountain had been removed, giving him the qualifications to rise to prominence. He had assumed that from then on, his entire life would be like that. He had devoted himself to rising to prominence, sparing no cost to reach his goal, which was to lead his clan to greater glory. He would propagate the name of the Fang clan, and eventually, years later, would become a clan patriarch. However, all of that changed as soon as Meng Hao returned. "Why did you have to come back?" The killing intent in Fang Wei's eyes surged, and he roared. He then soared up like a shooting star, performing a double-handed incantation gesture. The aura of reincarnation rolled out from him, as did the will of the yellow springs. He bit the tip of his tongue and spit out a mouthful of blood mist, then began to mumble a bizarre incantation. This was a secret magic. A Fang clan secret magic. As the chant echoed out, intense loud popping sounds rang out from Fang Wei as his 98 immortal meridians soared out and transformed into 98 immortal dragons, which then shot toward the incoming Meng Hao. Also, thanks to the unleashing of his secret magic, over 40 additional illusory dragons joined them. Added together, there were a total of 143. Heaven and earth shook violently. When being used by Fang Wei, the Fang clan's secret magic increased his immortal meridians by roughly 50%. Behind him, immortal souls appeared, a total of 14, causing Fang Wei's energy to soar madly. Everything that was happening shook the hearts of the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. They watched Fang Wei and sighed inwardly. The members of the Fang clan looked on silently. First there was Fang Hao and now there's Fang Wei. On the one hand, for a clan to produce two chosen like this is a sign of future prosperity. On the other hand, if things aren't handled with care, it will inevitably lead to one of those glorious figures being extinguished. Prince Wei of the Fang clan was their #1 chosen in the past. He opened 98 meridians and shook all of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. Ah, what a pity. He had one less meridian than Zhou Shui. The difference between them wasn't much. If Meng Hao hadn't come along, then those two, along with Zhao Yifan, would be the only three qualified to compete over the status of being the most powerful blazing sun among the chosen. As the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Seaside, Fang Wei's cultivation base exploded with power, and he shot toward Meng Hao through the air above planet East Victory. By this point, they were only about 300 meters apart. The two of them looked like meteors, one streaking down from the sky, the other shooting up from the ground. Everyone in the Ninth Mountain and Sea, including the cultivators of planet East Victory and the members of the Fang clan, watched with trembling hearts. Fang Wei and Meng Hao were moving so fast that sonic booms turned into massive, circular ripples that spread out in all directions. Then they slammed into each other. A huge boom shook everything, sending innumerable ripples out in all directions, causing even the heavens to tremble. A massive wind sprang up, causing heaven and earth to dim and the heavenly bodies to shake. Meng Hao's expression was the same as ever as he launched a single punch backed with the explosive power of 123 immortal meridians. A huge boom could be heard, and blood sprayed out of Fang Wei's mouth as he was sent rocketing back down toward the ground. It seemed as if victory had been determined in the first exchange. Meng Hao was now an immortal realm paragon, someone who wasn't even fazed by the combined might of 10 true immortal chosen. They had ended up having destiny forcibly attached to them with a writ of karma. Furthermore, he had forced even Fan Donger and Li Linger into retreat, had outshined Zhao Yifan, and had forced Zhou Shui from the immortal ancient Taoist rite with his 99 meridians to flee in fear. Fang Wei was also a chosen, but the things Meng Hao was able to do, he simply could not. To the audience in the Ninth Mountain and Sea, there was just too much of a disparity. In fact, it would be most accurate to say that this battle was really a formality to officially replace a chosen of the Fang clan. All of the members of the Fang clan realized this, and therefore no one interfered. They all just watched silently. As Fang Wei fell down to the ground, many people sighed inwardly. Meng Hao looked down at Fang Wei and slowly said, "Fang Wei, you're no match for me. Now take out what belongs to me and return it. Everything is over now. If you don't comply, then I won't hold back any further." Fang Wei's body was soaked in blood. His hair was in disarray, and his expression was one of complete viciousness. After falling down about 3,000 meters, he suddenly came to a stop and looked up, his eyes bloodshot. Glaring at Meng Hao, he began to laugh uproariously. "Fang Hao, did you really think our battle would end so quickly? Do you really think you can win so easily?" Shrill laughter rang out as Fang Wei suddenly flew back up into the air, his eyes filled with madness and veins of blood. "If you want to take back what belongs to you, then you should show some skill and take them away. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give you that chance." Fang Wei's laughter was filled with insanity as it echoed out. His right hand shot up, and he slapped his palm down onto his forehead. When that happened, a bizarre aura suddenly exploded out of him, causing his energy to skyrocket. His face twisted viciously, and blue veins popped out as he let out a piercing shriek. Meng Hao's eyes widened as he realized that this aura coming off of Fang Wei was actually very familiar, causing him to look at Fang Wei with a complex expression. "My nirvana fruits, huh?" he murmured. All of the cultivators in the Ninth Mountain and Sea, especially the chosen, were gradually shifting their focus to Fang Wei, and they looked shocked. The members of the Fang clan looked on blankly. They could clearly see the newly added illusory dragons around Fang Wei, which increased the total number of immortal dragons to a total of 143. However, that wasn't what shocked them. They gasped as they saw Fang Wei's energy increasing rapidly. He roared as, shockingly, more immortal meridians appeared. One by one, illusory immortal meridians popped out. 153, 163, 173. In conjunction with the appearance of these new immortal meridians, Fang Wei's energy soared, drawing excited discussion from all the onlookers. Zhao Yifan and all the other chosen were dumbstruck. What secret magic is Fang Wei using? I can't believe he's so strong. Inconceivable. His immortal meridians were already increased by nearly 50% thanks to some secret magic. That I can understand. But I never could have imagined that he would have another method to add even more immortal meridians. They might be illusory, but they're still immortal meridians. Could it be that he used some forbidden magic? But I've never heard of any forbidden magic that could unleash such unbelievable power. The ninth mountain and sea was in a total uproar. As for the Tao realm patriarchs from the other sects, they were filled with complete shock. The Fang clan Earth patriarch's face flickered with complex emotions. He understood exactly what was happening and sighed silently. Underneath the ancestral mansion, the 6 other patriarchs looked on silently. Only the 7th patriarch frowned and glanced over at the 6th patriarch with a dark look. On the surface of planet East Victory, Fang Ziushan looked very excited at what was happening. All of a sudden, hope flickered in his heart. Perhaps Wire can actually win. Even Fang Wei's grandfather looked on with glittering eyes. He loosened his grip on the jade slip he had been about to crush. That was his last resort, and he didn't want to enact the plan too early. After all, complete preparations hadn't been made. Meng Hao didn't say anything as the aura of his own nirvana fruits grew stronger and stronger on Fang Wei. Although the onlookers didn't understand exactly what was happening, he understood. Fang Hao, Fang Wei let out a mighty roar, and booming sounds could be heard as his clothes were shredded. His body began to expand, and in the blink of an eye he was much taller. His chi and blood surged like that of an immortal divinity. The immortal dragons around him increased rapidly. Rumbling sounds could be heard as, shockingly, more immortal meridians appeared. 183 was not the limit. Suddenly, there were 192. That was an increase of 49 meridians. Everyone was now paying rapt attention to what was happening. He had 98 of his own meridians, used a secret magic to add 45, and then unleashed a Taoist magic similar to a forbidden magic that actually added more immortal meridians, equivalent to half of his original maximum. 192 meridians, this Fang Wei, is completely heaven-defying. I thought this battle was going to be a simple formality. I never imagined that Fang Wei would perform so shockingly. Just, how is he doing this? The ninth mountain and sea was astir, and the chosen up in the starry sky watched with wide eyes and gaping mouths. First, there was Meng Hao becoming their complete and utter superior. Then something happened that they never could have imagined. Fang Wei performed similarly shocking feats. I can't believe that all the destiny of the ninth mountain and sea has ended up in the hands of the Fang clan. 2 blazing suns, both from a single clan. It's too bad these two don't get along. As of this moment, the Tao realm patriarchs of the various sects and clans looked on with glittering eyes. Meng Hao's appearance on the scene left them moved. Fang Wei's dazzling performance caused them to suddenly have a new understanding of the nature of the Fang clan. The Fang clan is incredible. Either Fang Hao or Fang Wei could become the blazing sun of this generation. This battle between these 2 members of the junior generation is turning out to be quite interesting. The ninth mountain and sea was in a stir as Fang Wei slowly looked up at Meng Hao. He was now much stronger than before, and fully 9 meters tall. His energy surged. He was surrounded by 192 roaring immortal dragons, and was backed by 19 immortal souls. Like I said, Fang Hao, our battle won't end so easily. He looked at Meng Hao, and his eyes brimmed with both madness and the desire to fight. Killing intent swirled as he began to advance. Heaven and earth trembled, the wind screamed, and the heavenly bodies went dim. One thought reincarnation incantation. Fang Wei extended both hands and then waved them out, causing an enormous, shocking vortex to appear in front of him. The vortex was both black and white, and as it spun, it emanated a shocking aura of reincarnation. Meng Hao's eyes gleamed coldly, and his gaze fell onto Fang Wei like a sharp sword. You're using what belongs to me, and yet, you're still too weak. Chapter 992, I haven't lost yet. When Fang Wei heard Meng Hao's calm voice, he threw his head back and laughed. The laughter became shrill as he performed an incantation gesture, causing the black and white vortex to rotate rapidly as it began to move toward Meng Hao. In the blink of an eye, the vortex was nearly 300 meters wide. It was spinning so fast that the black and white now merged together into a gray color, like that of death. However, within that death, there was also life. That was reincarnation. Fang Wei exploded with all of the power his immortal meridians could muster. 192 meridians became 192 immortal dragons, which roared as they soared around the vortex, adding to its power and making it spin even faster. Fang Wei's 19 immortal souls stepped forward and seemed to hurl the vortex toward Meng Hao. The vortex grew even larger until it was 3,000 meters wide. Rumbling filled the air, causing all observing cultivators in the Ninth Mountain and Sea to shake with astonishment. The members of the Fang clan were completely shocked. As of this moment, Fang Wei was far more powerful than anyone could have imagined, so much so that many people were starting to question their assessment of him. Immortal Realm Paragon Meng Hao might lose. Meng Hao hovered in midair, looking at the incoming reincarnation vortex. His eyes shone with a cold light. The fact that Fang Wei could unleash 192 immortal meridians wasn't too surprising to him. What surprised him was that the nirvana fruit inside his own bag of holding could increase his own immortal meridians by double, whereas the nirvana fruit's Fang Wei could only increase his by half. Are my nirvana fruits just not as good as the first-generation patriarch S, he thought, or is it just that they aren't perfectly suitable for Fang Wei? Not quite willing to accept that his fruits were inferior, Meng Hao snorted coldly and then slowly raised his hand. Inside of him, 123 immortal meridians began to thrum as he unleashed his own secret magic, fusing them all together into the Blood Demon Grand Magic. A blood-colored head suddenly ripped apart the air to appear in front of Meng Hao's palm. Its expression was vicious, and it emanated a bright red glow in all directions. It did not roar or snarl, but it let out an indescribable pressure that rippled out in all directions. This immortal meridian blood demon head was incredibly powerful. Right now, the power of 123 immortal meridians exploded out, causing the blood demon head to rapidly grow. In the blink of an eye, it was 3,000 meters tall. Its growth was incredibly shocking, and in fact, the blood demon head rapidly reached a critical point where it transformed from illusory into corporeal. Its expression was vicious. It had a single long horn and blood-colored skin. Furthermore, anyone who looked at it suddenly experienced a pressure that made their own blood feel like it was suddenly going out of control. This feeling spread through all of Planet East Victory. This blood demon head was so powerful that not even Blood Demon himself, when he was in the same realm in years past, would have been able to create such a powerful instance of this magical art. The fact that Meng Hao was an immortal realm paragon meant that any of his magical techniques and divine abilities could be bolstered to 123 times their original power by his secret magic. That made them the most powerful immortal abilities in the entire realm. Behind him were 33 shocking immortal souls. 33 heavens descended, spreading out in all directions, causing colorful winds to swirl around him. As all of this happened, time seemed to slow down. The cultivators on Planet East Victory stopped breathing, and the observers in the Ninth Mountain and Sea stared unblinking. Fang Wei screamed as he went all out, sending his reincarnation vortex closer and closer to Meng Hao. Meng Hao pushed out with his hand, causing the blood demon head to suddenly roar, a sound which transformed into the only sound that existed in all heaven and earth. The deafening sound was accompanied by surging red light, as the blood demon head shot toward the reincarnation vortex. 3,000 meters, 1,500 meters, 900 meters. In the blink of an eye, the reincarnation vortex and the blood demon head slammed into each other. When they did, the land below seemed to roll like waves. Booms echoed out as mountain peaks crumbled and rivers exploded. Even the seas on the planet began to boil. It was the same everywhere. Lands quaked, mountains shook. Even the heavens seemed to be on the verge of being torn asunder. A huge rift appeared up above that rapidly spread out. If you looked closely, that rift was actually a rolling shockwave which spread out with astonishing speed. The reincarnation vortex was instantly shattered into countless fragments that exploded out in all directions. The blood demon head's smashing attack caused the 192 immortal dragons to let out miserable roars and begin to shatter into pieces. In addition, the 19 immortal souls also crumbled, one by one. When the vortex exploded, a blast of reincarnation aura spread out, transforming into something like a mouth that began to swallow up the blood demon head. In that moment, Meng Hao's eyes went wide and he waved a finger through the air. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the blood demon fell apart, transforming into 123 blood dragons, which roared and shredded the enormous mouth to pieces. As they flew out, they looked dimmer than before, but not a single one was destroyed. They then began to swirl around Meng Hao, causing him to look like both a blood demon and a blood immortal. It was a simple, direct single attack. Meng Hao's strength as an immortal realm paragon caused everyone in the Ninth Mountain and Sea to be shaken, and the images they were watching were firmly planted in their memories. The wind screamed, and rumbling sounds filled the air as Meng Hao hovered there, looking down at Fang Wei. He sighed inwardly. Meng Hao could see that Fang Wei was actually not a fundamentally evil person. He was simply too proud and could not accept defeat. "Hand them over," said Meng Hao calmly as he descended toward Fang Wei, causing heaven and earth to rumble. Instead, Fang Wei threw his head back and laughed. Blood spurted out of him, and he trembled as he staggered backward. His skin was in shreds, and he almost looked like nothing more than a mass of blood. Even as he laughed shrilly, a gleam of obsession could be seen in his eyes. "I haven't lost yet," he cried. "I'm Fang Wei, how could I ever lose?" He stood there shaking, a ferocious expression on his face as he laughed shrilly. People saw his glory, but they didn't see the endless days and nights he had spent maniacally focused on cultivation. While other people had been feasting and chatting with family, he had been out fighting and killing. When other people had been falling in love, he had remained in his secluded meditation. He had endured all the loneliness and the relentless passage of time. He only had one goal, and that was to surpass everyone else. He wanted to be the #1 chosen of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. He didn't care about what his father did to others in the sect, nor what plans his grandfather had. The only thing he cared about was becoming the future patriarch of the Fang clan. Because of that, when his grandfather had offered him the 2 nirvana fruits, he hadn't hesitated for a second. He had immediately chosen to absorb them. Because of that, when he kneeled, trembling, in front of the 6th patriarch, Fang Wei had chosen to agree to his demands. He knew that his father had sent people to kill Meng Hao on his way back to the sect, but he didn't care. To him, Meng Hao was nothing more than a brief memory. This was true even though the nirvana fruits he was using belonged to Meng Hao. He simply didn't care. After all, he had always viewed himself as the true #1 chosen in the clan. Everything already belonged to him. "Fang Hao, if I lose, then of course you can have what belongs to you, but as of this moment, I haven't lost yet." As he looked up at Meng Hao, the blood that covered his face made him look even more vicious than before. He threw his back and laughed, and suddenly the aura of reincarnation vanished to be replaced by a towering will of death. This was the One Thought Yellow Springs Tao. It was the second most powerful signature Taoist magic of the Fang clan. Only the One Thought Stellar transformation was more powerful. To cultivate this magic, one must first die. Then, in death, they had to find a sliver of life. That sliver of life would prevent the soul from dying and cause the body to merge into the gap between life and death, then form an actual Tao of life and death. As the aura exploded out, Meng Hao's eyes flickered. Down below, Fang Zixin's expression was cruel as he glared at Meng Hao. Fang Wei's current condition filled him with pain, but his desire to see Meng Hao dead was even stronger. In fact, if he had the chance, he would directly kill him. Killing him will bring a conclusion to everything. Even if I descend into the underworld because of it, I'm willing. Fang Zixin gnashed his teeth as he continued to conceal the killing intent deep within his eyes. Fang Wei's energy was soaring higher and higher. He let out a cry of intense pain, but the more painful it got, the more his eyes shone with obsession, and the more his aura rose explosively. 192 immortal dragons soared around him, slashing at the air. It was at this point that dumbfounded expressions began to appear on the faces of the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. That was because, shockingly, more immortal dragons began to appear around Fang Wei. 207, 213. One immortal dragon after another appeared, shredding the air, causing the stars to tremble. Numerous rifts were torn into the sky around Fang Wei. 234. His immortal meridians were exploding out. It kept going until he reached 241 meridians. By this time, the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Sea were mind-blown. They were speechless, and the members of the Fang clan were in a complete uproar. In the ancestral mansion, the Grand Elder looked blankly up into the sky at Fang Wei and Meng Hao, and he let out a long sigh. He actually added 49 more meridians. If there was no Meng Hao, Fang Wei would definitely be the immortal realm paragon of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. Fang Wei is equally as inhuman as Meng Hao. Just what method is he using to do that? 241 meridians. There is anybody who's done that in any generation of immortals in the Ninth Mountain and Sea. According to the legends, the actual complete limit is 330 meridians, but that's nothing more than a legend. The chosen out in the starry sky felt their minds spinning. They were filled with bitterness that the Fang clan could have Meng Hao and Fang Wei. Never would any of the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Sea be able to forget the Fang clan. The Fang clan Earth Patriarch hovered silently out in the starry sky. He wanted to step in and intervene, but hesitated. He knew that if he did do something to stop what was happening, he might lose both of them. Hey R, did you come back to the clan for the sole purpose of immortal ascension, to prove yourself? The Earth Patriarch's eyes gleamed with a profound light. If so, then will those people who have been lurking hidden within the clan finally reveal themselves? Chapter 993, Upheaval in the Fang Clan. Fang Wei's voice echoed out across the lands of planet East Victory. He had 241 immortal meridians, and 241 immortal dragons swirled through the air around him, emitting roars which caused winds to surge and the land to quake. Fang Hao, Fang Wei looked up, his expression fierce and filled with madness. His body continued to grow, making him taller and more muscular. Shockingly, 24 immortal souls towered up behind him, transforming into 24 heavens, emitting a pressure that caused anyone who felt it to pant. Gradually, they began to resist Meng Hao's 33 heavens. This was something that had never occurred before, and was something no other chosen could possibly accomplish. Only Fang Wei could succeed in contending against Meng Hao's 33 heavens. 33 heavens was the limit for immortals, and marked one as paragon of the realm. However, as of this moment, an intensely powerful energy rose up from Fang Wei. Meng Hao's eyes widened as the aura of the nirvana fruits Fang Wei possessed grew even stronger. In fact, when he closed his eyes, he could clearly sense the two nirvana fruits in operation in Fang Wei's forehead. At the same time, far beneath the Fang clan's ancestral mansion, the seventh patriarch, along with the other 6 patriarchs, saw Fang Wei exploding with 241 meridians. The seventh patriarch was clearly shocked, and deep within the 6 patriarchs' eyes, impossible for anyone to detect, was a glint of joy and excitement. "He's grown up," murmured the 6th patriarch, who then closed his eyes. Up above, Fang Wei's energy surged, and 241 immortal dragons spun through the air with him as their nucleus. Behind him, 24 heavens caused everything to shake. Fang Wei's aura roared up. From the look of it, he was in no way ready to back down in front of Meng Hao. After all, Meng Hao only had 123 immortal dragons, and although each one was enormous, they were outnumbered by almost double. However, when you looked at Meng Hao's 33 immortal souls and his 33 heavens, he was just as glorious as before. "Fang Hao, this is my most powerful state. If I'm defeated now, then I'll return what belongs to you. As payment for using them, I'll give you my life as well." Fang Wei's eyes shone with madness as he stared at Meng Hao, and yet within that madness was a glint of obsession. Meng Hao's expression grew grave as he looked back at Fang Wei and nodded. As of this moment, Meng Hao couldn't make himself hate Fang Wei anymore. The current situation was just the result of the outworkings of chance. "Let's fight," Fang Wei roared, throwing his head back and laughing. He stepped forward, performing an incantation gesture with his right hand, causing a river to appear in front of him. The river was yellow, and within it floated innumerable dead souls that let out vicious howls. In the blink of an eye, the river became matchlessly large. It was the Yellow Springs. This was the quintessence of the one-thought Yellow Springs Tao, a manifestation of the Yellow Springs, as if it represented the underworld and its power. A mysterious ripple spread out from the Yellow Springs, shaking all the heavens and rocking the minds of the cultivators of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. Even more shocking was that there wasn't just a single manifestation of the Yellow Springs. Instead, there were 241. They materialized in front of Fang Wei, causing everything to shake and tremble. Even the sky above was tinged yellow in color. Trembling veins popping out on his face, Fang Wei waved his hands, then pointed toward Meng Hao and roared. Rumbling filled the air as the 241 yellow springs shot toward Meng Hao. In the blink of an eye, they filled the entire area and seemed to be on the verge of completely overwhelming him. Meng Hao's eyes flickered as he performed an incantation gesture with his right hand and waved. His immortal meridians rumbled, causing his 123 immortal meridians to manifest outside of him, not as immortal dragons, but instead as chains of mountains. Chains of immortal mountains. 123 chains of mountains descended, each one of which caused heaven and earth to tremble. Meng Hao seemed to be surrounded by boundless mountains, all of which emanated immortal might as they spread out in all directions. Meng Hao stood in the very center of all the mountains, as if he was their lord. He faced the yellow springs, extending his right hand and pointing. Rumbling could be heard as all of the mountains began to rotate in the air and then shoot toward the yellow springs. The yellow springs might be mysterious, but the mountains could suppress them. Chains of mountains crushed down onto the yellow springs. The cultivators of the ninth mountain and sea felt their chests tightening as they watched. Rumbling rose up as the mountain chains crushed down. The yellow springs rose up, and the two forces slammed into each other. Each and every one of the yellow springs were destroyed, and all of the mountains collapsed. The scene playing out in the sky right now was like a painting. A massive, destructive explosion caused everything to shake, and even caused cracks to appear in the sky. This was no longer the power of immortals. Not even cultivators of the ancient realm who had extinguished one soul lamp could unleash divine abilities with this level of power. The cultivators of the ninth mountain and sea were completely shaken. Blood sprayed from Fang Wei's mouth, and his expression was vicious as he performed a double-handed incantation gesture and then raised his arms above him towards the sky. Eyes filled with madness, he roared, "Yellow Springs Tao." As his words rang out, the shattered yellow springs all began to swirl back towards him. Vast amounts of yellow waters transformed into a rain which flowed towards him from all directions. Then, in the blink of an eye, the water began to reform. It turned into a majestic, authentic yellow springs that caused heaven and earth to grow dim. This was not the yellow springs of the fourth mountain. This was a manifestation of Fang Wei's immortal meridians, merged together to form his own yellow springs. The aura of reincarnation appeared, causing all the lands to quake and the heavens to grow dark. As of now, the only thing that seemed to exist was his matchlessly majestic yellow springs, fully 30,000 meters long. If that were all there were to it, it might not be a big deal, but shockingly, 24 immortal souls also appeared within the yellow springs. They might be Fang Wei's immortal souls, but as of this moment, they were underworld judges of the yellow springs. 24 underworld judges, each one of which had a peak immortal realm cultivation base. The yellow springs was their weapon, and as for Fang Wei, he was like their Yama King of Hell. 1. In the original Chinese, there is a slight difference in the characters Zhen uses for the Yama Kings, but the reference is clear, so instead of making a variation on Yama King, I'll just stick with the original. More information here. With the Tao of the Yellow Springs, I will eradicate the soul of the immortal realm paragon. Fang Wei cried madly, waving his hand out to point at Meng Hao. As of this moment, all of the cultivators of the ninth mountain and sea gasped. The crowds on planet East Victory were astonished, and the faces of the members of the Fang clan flickered. Fang Wei is so incredibly powerful. So that is the one thought Yellow Springs Tao. No wonder it's referred to as a signature Taoist magic. It materializes the yellow springs, establishes underworld judges, and manifests a Yama King. Does that mean that the Fang clan's first-generation patriarch actually had some connection to the fourth mountain? This is a true battle of pinnacles, which I didn't think I would be able to see because Meng Hao was just too powerful. I never thought that I would be able to bear witness to something like this. The ninth mountain and sea was shaken. Back on planet South Heaven, Fang Ziyufeng and Meng Li were getting nervous. All of Meng Hao's friends were also starting to feel anxious. Meanwhile, out in the starry sky was the boat that no one could see. The egotistical young man from earlier was also watching the scene with wide eyes. For the first time, a sense of deadly crisis welled up inside of Meng Hao. He looked at Fang Wei and had to admit that he truly was a chosen. The yellow springs rumbled toward Meng Hao, and the 24 immortal soul underworld judges inside of it all launched attacks. Meng Hao took a deep breath. The gleam in his eyes that was the desire to do battle grew stronger, stronger than it had ever been when he had faced against the previous true immortal chosen. Within his right eye, a starstone appeared, which transformed into starlight that floated out above Meng Hao's palm. In the blink of an eye, starlight had covered his entire body. One thought, stellar transformation, Meng Hao said. If you discounted his demon sealing hexing magics and the Paragon Bridge, one thought stellar transformation was the most powerful divine ability that he could unleash. Boundless starlight covered Meng Hao, making it look like he wasn't a cultivator anymore. As the boundless light spread out, as the starstone surrounded him, he transformed into a planet. This was no ordinary planetary Taoist magic. This was formed from Meng Hao's true, immortal secret magic, the unleashing of 123 times the power of one thought stellar transformation. This planet was 3,000 meters wide, and when it appeared, all cultivators who were watching thought back to how they had seen the same magic before, when Meng Hao used it to batter open the door of immortality. One thought stellar transformation. The members of the Fang clan were all dumbfounded. At the same time, Meng Hao in planet form shot toward the Yellow Springs. All eyes were on him, as he made the decisive final move in the fight. The planet rumbled as it moved at top speed. Fang Wei was going all out with all of the battle prowess his cultivation base could muster, not holding back the tiniest scrap. Die! Fang Wei roared as Yellow Springs and Meng Hao in planet form slammed into each other. A huge boom exploded out over all of planet East Victory. The sky shattered and the ground boomed. Fang Wei let out a howl of defiance as his Yellow Springs were shattered. His immortal souls exploded, incapable of standing up to the enormous planet. Even still, the planet began to shrink rapidly, growing weaker. In the end, though, it still completely ripped the Yellow Springs into shreds and crushed all 24 of the immortal souls. By the time the planet reached Fang Wei, it had shrunk down to only about 3 meters wide. It smashed into him, whereupon the cracking sound of shattering bones could be heard. Blood sprayed from Fang Wei's mouth, and he began to laugh bitterly as he rocketed down toward the ground. He slammed into a mountain peak, which immediately collapsed into rubble. Fang Wei's bitter laughter continued to ring through the air as blood oozed out of his mouth. His chest had been crushed to a pulp, his internal organs were shattered, and his soul was crushed. His life was nearing its end. "Come on, take back what belongs to you," said Fang Wei, using his last breath to cause his words to echo out into the air. The planet faded away, and Meng Hao appeared. As he looked down silently at Fang Wei, everyone from the 9th mountain and sea also quieted down. "It's over," Meng Hao said, sighing. He continued to move forward, surrounded by silence. Just when he was about to reach Fang Wei, Fang Zixian looked up, and killing intent boiled in his eyes. Suddenly, he performed a minor teleportation. His ancient realm cultivation base exploded out with the terrifying power of 2 extinguished soul lamps. "Fang Hao, it's time to die." Fang Zixian's hand shot out and everything shook. However, even as he closed in, Meng Hao's 19th uncle flickered to appear between the two of them. Instantly, the two of them began to fight. "Beat it," roared Fang Zixian, unleashing his most powerful divine ability. At the same time, Fang Wei's grandfather was about to make a move, when the Grand Elder took a step forward and looked at him. "Don't do anything stupid," said the Grand Elder, he sighed. "As for wire, I will." Fang Wei's grandfather didn't speak. Before the Grand Elder could even finish speaking, he grinned. A look of determination appeared in his eyes as he suddenly lifted the jade slip and crushed it. "That person was right. The Fang clan needs to change a bit," he said. "I'm only one part of the plan responsible for the clan elders. However, if I make a move, then everyone else will have no choice but to act whether they want to or not." Fang Wei's grandfather suddenly cocked his head, and his cultivation base exploded with power. The Grand Elder gaped in surprise, and his eyes filled with disbelief and shock. That was because in the moment that Fang Wei's grandfather crushed the jade slip, vicious expressions instantly appeared on the faces of roughly 40% of the Fang clan's elders. Shockingly, they instantly began to attack their fellow clan members. The Fang clan was facing a huge upheaval. Chapter 994, The Clan in Chaos. The Fang clan was in complete chaos. The observing cultivators of the 9th mountain and sea gaped in shock at the scene. There had been absolutely no indications that anything like this was going to happen. All of a sudden, the entire Fang clan was thrown into disarray. At the same time, a glowing shield suddenly appeared outside of planet East Victory, completely covering the whole planet, sealing it off. The entire area was now isolated, allowing no one to either enter or leave without express authorization. Sealed inside was not only everyone from planet East Victory, but also the chosen from the various sects and clans. They were stuck in the starry sky, looking on in shock as the turmoil played out down on the planet below. Miserable screams rang out from the Fang clan, along with roars of rage and exclamations of shock. "You, Fang Jie, you! Fang Haida, what are you doing? You're my clan uncle. This is rebellion. Are you really betraying the clan?" Shocking booms echoed out as roughly 40% of the elders in the Fang clan's ancestral mansion went from watching the fight between Meng Hao and Fang Wei to suddenly attacking their fellow clan elders. They immediately unleashed their most vicious divine abilities. Some elders were punched from behind. They tumbled forward, blood spurting out all over, after which they spun around with roars of rage. Others were attacked by multiple opponents, and before they could even react, were shredded into bits. Heads flew, and their eyes filled with looks of disbelief as they were killed in body and soul. There were some who managed to evade the deadly attacks. Their cultivation bases surged with power as they turned, trembling with rage and disbelief to face the traitors. In the blink of an eye, serious injuries were inflicted on more than half of the 60% of the elders who were still loyal to the clan. There were many who, because they didn't have a chance to defend themselves, were immediately slaughtered. Blood flowed throughout the ancestral mansion. That was the situation with the elders. However, the chaos was not limited to them. Almost all of the members of Fang Wei's bloodline spun, vicious expressions on their faces as they attacked their fellow clan members. Divine abilities exploded out as formerly neutral clan bloodlines also turned traitor. They instantly spun, employing vicious attacks on other clan members. Miserable shrieks could be heard as the entire clan was shaken, and countless individuals died. Blood oozed out of the corners of Fang Xianxia's mouth. She fell back in retreat as one of her clan sisters pursued her with killing intent. Then there was Fang Yuni. He was not among the traitors, so he looked around blankly as his entire world changed. Fang Zai coughed up a mouthful of blood as he was injured by one of the other direct bloodline clan members. Fang Zai's expression was one of rage and indignation. Fang Shuiyu, the young man who had injured him, looked on silently for a moment before attacking again, and the two began to fight bitterly. Scenes of chaos and fighting immediately broke out in numerous locations throughout the Fang clan. The ground quaked and buildings toppled. As the chaos spread, the ground ran red with blood. In the blink of an eye, countless individuals died. Up in the sky, 19th Uncle and Fang Zixuan were fighting. Originally, 19th Uncle had only been attempting to block Fang Zixuan's way, but now his eyes were bloodshot, and he roared with rage as he unleashed numerous deadly attacks. Fang Zixuan threw his head back and laughed harshly, his expression one of insanity. Everything was happening too quickly. It was in almost the exact same moment that Fang Zixuan's way was blocked by 19th Uncle that Fang Wei's grandfather had crushed the Jade slip, and that 40% group of elders attacked. Up in midair, Meng Hao closed in on Fang Wei, reached out, and was about to touch his forehead. However, it was in that same moment that, all of a sudden, an unprecedented sense of danger exploded within his heart. That sense of danger wasn't coming from Fang Zixuan, nor from Fang Wei's grandfather, nor from the upheavals taking place in the clan. Instead, it was coming from Fang Wei himself. In that instant, a look of struggle suddenly appeared in Fang Wei's eyes, and suddenly 4 pupils appeared, 2 in each eye. Then those pupils merged together. No one could see it happening except for Meng Hao. As soon as he sensed what was going on, he shot backward. In almost the same moment, rumbling sounds could be heard as the area where it had just been standing collapsed. The incredible power of 10 extinguished soul lamps of the ancient realm suddenly erupted out. If Meng Hao had hesitated for even one breath of time, he would definitely be dead already. At the same time, a hand suddenly emerged from the shattered sky, which then tapped down on Fang Wei's forehead. "Awaken, my doppelganger," said an ancient voice. At the same time, Fang Wei's body trembled and he let out a piercing shriek. Up in midair, Meng Hao's scalp went numb, and his expression was one of surprise. It was at this point that he turned his head and saw all of the chaos that was raging in the Fang clan. He saw countless people dying. He saw clan members attacking each other. The sight caused his mind to spin. He was completely unprepared for something like this to happen, and his heart was suddenly trembling violently. Everywhere he looked, corpses were piling up. Up in the sky, Fang clan elders were fighting deadly battles. Down below, all of the members of the clan were going mad. The smell of blood filled the air, so concentrated that there was no way of dispersing it in the slightest. Meng Hao almost couldn't believe the sudden and violent scene he was witnessing. Planet East Victory was completely shaken, including the Medicine Immortal sect. Even Patriarch Reliance was stunned. If the powers on Planet East Victory were surprised, there was no need to even mention the reaction of the various sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. When they saw what was unfolding, their minds reeled, and their eyes went wide with shock. This is impossible. This is the Fang clan, one of the four great clans. How could they be suddenly struck with upheaval like this? The Fang clan. The Fang clan is descending into civil war. There was a clan conspiracy. It looks like almost half of the entire clan is rebelling. Something like this is going to rock the entire Ninth Mountain and Sea. People were gasping in shock throughout all of the various sects and clans. They couldn't believe what they were seeing, that there were rivers of blood flowing through the Fang clan. Fang Hessian, what are you doing? The Grand Elder roared at Fang Wei's grandfather. You know that the patriarchs are in the ancestral mansion in secluded meditation. An uproar like this will definitely wake them up. If even one of them comes out, he will condemn you to eternal damnation. The Grand Elder's hair was in disarray, he was trembling, and his eyes were bloodshot as if overcome with madness. His heart was filled with pain. This was the ancestral mansion of the Fang clan, a place where the Fang clan had built up resources for countless years. And yet, all of a sudden, it was thrown into revolt. Throughout the long history of the Fang clan, there had never been a large-scale rebellion like this. The entire matter set the Grand Elder's blood boiling with rage as he shot toward Fang Hessian. Fang Wei's grandfather, Fang Hessian, hovered in midair, his face grim as he looked around at the chaos. He saw everything happening in the clan and saw the countless clan members dying. He could smell the odor of freshly spilt blood. "What am I doing?" he asked. "This wasn't my decision. It was as that certain person said, the Fang clan truly needs to change. And as for those patriarchs you just mentioned." Fang Hessian suddenly began to laugh in a very strange fashion and didn't say anything further. Instead, he advanced forward and began to fight with the Grand Elder. When the Grand Elder saw the expression on Fang Hessian's face, his heart began to pound. Massive booms filled the air, causing everything to tremble. Buildings in numerous locations around the Fang clan ancestral mansion collapsed. Craters appeared in the ground as fierce slaughtering was carried out on a grand scale. At the same time that the massive upheaval struck the Fang clan, deep in the recesses of the ancestral mansion, in the stony cavern, the seventh patriarch shot to his feet, his expression one of both fury and disbelief. His entire body was trembling, and he was just about to stamp his foot and fly out of the cavern to put a stop to everything. It wasn't just him. In that same moment, other patriarchs also rose to their feet. However, in that same moment, all of a sudden, the sixth patriarch extended his hand and pushed forward, causing a powerful ripple to explode out. It instantly turned into a shield that prevented anyone from leaving. "Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't want to attack you," he said slowly. "Please wait here a moment until matters are settled up above. Then I'll let you leave peacefully." "Old Sixth," cried the seventh patriarch, spinning in place, his eyes blazing with killing intent. In this critical moment of chaos, they needed to act without hesitation, to resolve the matter instantly. Even the slightest slowness in their actions would lead to even more serious losses on the part of the clan. Even as he spoke, he rushed toward the sixth patriarch. "Do you really think that you can block all of us by yourself? Are you really going to rely only on Fang Hessian out there to lead the rebellion to success?" The seventh patriarch's rage boiled into the heavens, and killing intent exploded out of him. However, even as he began to move forward, a snide smile appeared on the sixth patriarch's face. "Fang Hessian of the junior generation is just one pawn in the entire plan. As for here, do you really think I'm acting alone, old seventh?" Even as the words left the sixth patriarch's mouth, the seventh patriarch's face twisted in shock as the fourth patriarch suddenly turned, eyes glittering with killing intent, and then attacked the fifth patriarch. "Fourth brother, what are you doing?" Shocking booms could be heard. Everything happened too quickly. The fifth patriarch had a profound cultivation base, so despite being attacked unexpectedly, he was still able to rise to his feet. At the same time, the second patriarch began to laugh coldly. Even as he stepped forward, the third patriarch's face turned pale. The second patriarch was actually the second only to the Fang clan's Earth patriarch in terms of power. He stepped forward, his aura murderous, causing the other patriarchs' hearts to tremble. Of the 6 people present, 3 had turned traitor. Shocking booms could be heard as decisive attacks were unleashed in the stony cavern. Everything trembled and blood sprayed out of 7th patriarch's mouth. His expression was one of pain as he cried, "Why?" These 6 had sat in secluded meditation together for many years, and although they weren't blood brothers in terms of their relationship with each other, it was almost as if they were. They even called each other brother. The person to answer the 7th patriarch was the most powerful among the people present, the 2nd patriarch. Old Seventh, I really don't want to lie to you. All of this is for the sake of the legacy of Lord Li. A drastic upheaval was shaking the Fang clan. Booms filled the air, and all of Planet East Victory was shaking. The Dao Realm experts of the various sects and clans looked on with expressions of shock. Meanwhile, the Earth Patriarch was in the starry sky outside of Planet East Victory. When he saw what was happening, a very strange look appeared in his eyes, although no one would be able to detect it. He saw the clan members dying down on the planet below, and knew that regardless of who won or lost, the clan would suffer huge losses in terms of their overall power. Even still, his eye continued to flicker almost as if he were sneering at the betraying clan members. His body flickered as he prepared to charge back down to Planet East Victory. Considering the level of his cultivation base, anyone could tell that once he got there, it didn't matter how many rebels there were, they would be completely powerless beneath him. However, in the moment that he seemed about to make his move, a cold smile appeared on the face of a certain person. This person had come to fight Meng Hao, but after watching his succession of victories against the other chosen, had held back. Now, that person suddenly flickered into place directly in front of the Fang clan Earth Patriarch. She was the only person among all of the other chosen who hadn't fought Meng Hao. She was none other than the person who everyone knew to be Jai Yin. However, she actually wasn't Jai Yin. Chapter 995. The Jai clan makes a move. Everyone watched as Jai Yin emerged. Ripples of the Dao realm spread out from her body, essence aura, the most powerful possible in the starry sky. The instant they surged out, Fan Donger and the other chosen felt their faces fill with shock. None of them could have imagined that Jai Yin was not actually the real Jai Yin. Neither the Fang clan Earth Patriarch nor Meng Hao had picked up any clues. A Dao Realm expert had appeared outside Planet East Victory in complete stealth, shocking every sect and clan in the Ninth Mountain and Sea. The Dao Realm Patriarchs murmured to themselves. The only person who could pull this off without us noticing is one of the Jai clan's 5 almighty Dao Realm experts, Jai Ziyufang. 1. Jai Ziyufang's name in Chinese is Chinese letter Jai Ziyufang. Ziyu means beautiful and Fang means fragrant. This is clearly a woman's name. The Jai clan is incredible. The Earth Patriarch's face went cold as he stared at Jai Yin, and one word at a time said, Jai Ziyufang. Jai Yin laughed softly as the boundless karma surrounding her dissipated, to reveal the face of a middle-aged woman. Fang Xiaodao, long time no see. With me here, you won't be going anywhere. This woman was exactly who the Fang clan's Earth Patriarch had just named, Jai Ziyufang. The Earth Patriarch looked at her silently, eyes flickering with killing intent. Without further ado, he shot forward and the two began to fight. Booms filled the air, and the starry sky shattered as the Dao Realm battle shook mountains and seas. In nearly the same moment, 3 people appeared outside the layered ceiling shield over Planet East Victory. Each one emanated Dao Realm ripples. As they sat cross-legged, rumbling sounds rose from them. Their cultivation bases exploded out to reinforce the shield, making it even stronger. Planet East Victory was now completely sealed inside. The cultivators of the other sects and clans saw what was happening, and waves of shock battered their hearts. It was now absolutely clear. The upheavals in the Fang clan were tied to the Jai clan, and the Jai clan had made it obvious. They were determined to come out victorious. The Ninth Mountain and Sea reeled. The Dao Realm Patriarchs felt coldness rise within their hearts, coldness from the chaos in the Fang clan, the sudden appearance of Jai Ziyufang, and the 3 Dao Realm experts outside the shield. Until moments ago, nobody had noticed anything unusual about Jai Yin, or that she was the only chosen who hadn't fought Meng Hao. Now that they pieced it together, the plan had gone off without a hitch. Without Jai Ziyufang, Fang Xiaodao would have quickly resolved the chaos in the Fang clan. The chill in the Dao Realm Patriarch's hearts grew stronger. The Jai clan is on the attack. They've sent 4 Dao Realm experts against the Fang clan. If you ignore Lord Jai, who is as old as the heavens and no longer counts as a cultivator, the Jai clan has 5 Dao Realm experts total. The Jai clan's Dao focuses on karma. They haven't made a move in a long time. According to legend, when they do, they're always one step ahead. One step ahead, for example, the 6 ancient realm experts of the Fang clan. The Jai clan arranged infighting among them, making it impossible for them to join the larger chaos. Then there's Fang Xiaodao, who they arranged Jai Ziyufang to handle. In that case, what are those 3 Dao Realm experts doing with that shield? As the Dao Realm Patriarchs considered it, their faces flickered, and they looked toward the three great Taoist societies. Powerful ripples suddenly spread from that direction, and rumbling sounds rose as figures emerged. The sects were mobilizing. The three great Taoist societies were going to jump into the fray. Obviously not to help the Jai clan. They would prevent the Jai clan from exterminating the Fang clan. Now everyone understood the purpose of the sealing shield. It was there to prevent the three great Taoist societies from easily interfering, which made Jai Ziyufang's presence more important than ever. Even as the energy of the three great Taoist societies built and the figures shot out, that energy suddenly faded. The figures returned to their respective sects. Only the Tao realm patriarchs were aware of this. Their faces flickered and their eyes went wide. In the Nine Seas God world, just as figures had been preparing to head to planet East Victory to aid the Fang clan, roughly 10% of the sect's disciples suddenly turned traitor. Clan elders even participated, throwing the Nine Seas God world into instant chaos. The same scene played out in the Sublime Flow Sword Grotto and the immortal ancient Taoist rite. It was clearly the result of years of secret planning, all detonating in this one moment. Booms echoed from the three great Taoist societies. These were only small waves of internal disorder that wouldn't last long. No major changes would occur, but their purpose was to buy time. The whole point was to delay the three great Taoist societies from aiding planet East Victory. Combined with the sealing shield, that delay could prove fatal. There was also an unspoken warning in all of this. The coldness in the Tao realm patriarchs' hearts deepened. The Fang clan is going to be eradicated. I still find it hard to believe a clan like that could be overthrown just like this. The Jai clan doesn't attack lightly, and when they do, they strike like lightning. This is a catastrophe for the Fang clan. Unfortunately, I'm worried their machinations still haven't been fully revealed. The Jai clan was even willing to activate sleeper cells in the three great Taoist societies. But what is the real purpose? The Tao realm patriarchs stayed silent, eyes flickering with growing rage, fury that the Jai clan had entangled the chosen of every other clan in their machinations. After all, the entire group of chosen was now trapped, just outside planet East Victory. However angry the Tao realm patriarchs were, they had lived long enough not to be stupid. They knew the Jai clan had no desire to make enemies of every sect and clan in the Ninth Mountain and Sea. Unless the chosen sought death on their own, they would be safe. As long as they didn't interfere, they would be free to leave once it was over. Miserable screams rang out in the Fang clan ancestral mansion. The bitter fighting soaked the entire area with blood. With every passing moment, more clan members died. The internal chaos left the areas of planet East Victory, outside the Fang clan deathly silent. Buildings collapsed, structures toppled. The ground quaked. Meng Hao hovered in midair, eyes shot with blood. Though he felt little loyalty to the Fang clan, watching clan members slaughtered, watching Fang Zai in danger, caused murderous aura to explode from within him. He slapped his bag of holding and produced the lightning cauldron. Lightning danced as Meng Hao vanished, switching places with a clan member near Fang Zai. That transposition came at the exact moment Fang Zai faced death from another direct bloodline clan member. Even as the man reached his finger toward Fang Zai's forehead, Meng Hao advanced without hesitation and waved his sleeve. A boom rang out as the power of 123 immortal meridians exploded. A terrifying force smashed into the clan member. Blood sprayed from his mouth before he exploded into chunks of gore. Fang Zai laughed bitterly as he looked around, a profound sense of powerlessness filling him. Meng Hao looked at Fang Zai in silence, then his eyes filled with determination as he began to summon the terracotta soldier. By now he had concluded the clan rebellion must have been influenced by outside powers. Otherwise, the patriarch-level experts in the clan would have appeared. He had no idea about the fighting deep beneath the ancestral mansion, nor the Tao realm battle in the starry sky. But he didn't need to. Something very bad was happening in the clan. Yet the moment he called to the terracotta soldier, he felt a powerful obstructing force spread over all of planet East Victory. It greatly slowed the opening of the ancestral land, making it impossible for the terracotta soldier to reach him immediately. His eyes flickered with killing intent. Still calling to the terracotta soldier, he turned and slaughtered his way into the crowd. He was not at the ancient realm level, so he attacked only immortal realm opponents, and he did so like lightning. 33 heavens descended, and immortal power exploded out. Every traitorous immortal realm clan member who met him let out a blood-curdling scream and was destroyed in body and soul. He was like an immortal of death. Rumbling sounds rose as he waved his right finger, causing the forehead of a stage 7 immortal to explode. Then he spun. His cold gaze fell on two clan members charging toward him, and their hearts seized in terror. Before they could react, Meng Hao shot past them and their heads flew into the air. A complicated expression crossed Fang Yunyi's face as Meng Hao slaughtered the clan member who had been fighting him and sped past. Meng Hao had just saved his life, and all Fang Yunyi could do was smile bitterly. Explosions rang out as savage fighting continued. Meng Hao was adept at killing. He had killed many people on planet South Heaven. He was also extremely familiar with chaotic battlegrounds. The lightning cauldron flickered and he vanished amid rumbling sounds. In that moment, a nearby traitorous clan member appeared in his former spot and was blasted by a combined attack from 5 ancient realm experts who had been trying to kill Meng Hao. With the lightning cauldron, it was nearly impossible to pin him down. In a short time, dozens of traitorous clan members died by his hand. This was the first time he had shown such brutal savagery in the clan, and the surrounding members looked at him with astonishment. To say nothing of the cultivators of the 9th mountain and sea outside. Despite the sealing shield, everyone could still observe what was happening in the Fang clan through various means. The Jai clan didn't prevent that. They wanted the bitter tragedy to be visible to all, as a warning. It was at this point that massive rumbling sounds rose from the area where Fang Wei had slammed into the mountain. Terrifying ripples spread out as Fang Wei's pupils returned to normal. The ripples then vanished. He rose slowly from the rubble and threw his head back in laughter. This doppelganger is excellent, wonderful. It feels great to be so young. Though it's weak and cannot wield the ancient realm's power, this body has incredible potential. After completely fusing in the future and turning this into my true self, the peak of the ancient realm will no longer be my limit. Fang Wei, as a descendant of mine in the clan, since you're giving me your body, I'll help you fulfill one of your aspirations. Strange ripples began to undulate from Fang Wei. He flew into the air, spotted Meng Hao fighting in the crowds in the ancestral mansion, and flew toward him. Killing intent flickered in his eyes as he closed in. Meng Hao felt a prick of danger. He looked up and his gaze locked with Fang Wei's. Or perhaps it would be more correct to say that his gaze locked with the 6th Patriarch. Chapter 996, The Battle Resumes. Fang Ziyufeng and Meng Li stood in the Tower of Tang on planet South Heaven, watching the upheaval in the Fang clan on planet East Victory. Meng Li's eyes were wide, and she trembled as she clutched Fang Ziyufeng's arm. "You knew this was going to happen, didn't you?" she said, eyes filled with anxiety at the sight of Meng Hao in danger. What she feared wasn't the destruction of the Fang clan, it was her son's safety. Fang Ziyufeng looked at the images and slowly nodded. "Trust me and trust Hayar, everything will be over shortly." He spoke softly. His fatherly love was not the kind that showed on the outside like Qi Yunhai's. It was buried deep in his heart. He was Meng Hao's father and would rather sustain injuries himself than allow his son to be hurt in the least. But everything that was happening had to happen. On planet East Victory, Fang Wei's and Meng Hao's gazes locked, and an intangible rumbling filled Meng Hao's mind. It was as if everything vanished, leaving only the two of them. Meng Hao's eyes flickered with killing intent. He could not have predicted events would turn out this way. He could do nothing about the dramatic upheaval in the Fang clan and deep in his heart felt somewhat at a loss. A sinister grin crossed Fang Wei's face as he shot through the air like a meteor, heading directly toward Meng Hao. Meng Hao took a deep breath, crushing the dazed feeling in his heart. His battle with Fang Wei was not over. His nirvana fruits had not been returned. In that case, it was time to continue. Eyes flashing with killing intent, he flew into the air. The two pierced through the crowds like meteors, rapidly closing in on each other. Their speed was incredible, shaking everything around them. Even clan members locked in their own battles turned to look. The cultivators of the 9th mountain and sea stared as the two figures closed in. When they slammed together in midair, a shocking boom echoed in all directions, shattering the air and flashing wild colors across the sky. Meng Hao attacked with the full force of his 123 meridians. 33 heavens rumbled, and numerous mountain chains appeared. Blood demon heads roared one after another, shaking heaven and earth and sending wild winds screaming. Fang Wei performed an incantation gesture, materializing a divine ability. Statues formed of reincarnation, the yellow springs, and some other technique Meng Hao didn't recognize circled around him, unleashing ceaseless attacks. Meng Hao frowned. The terrifying ancient realm ripples that had emanated from Fang Wei were gone, yet he could sense that Fang Wei was far more powerful than before. Gradually, Meng Hao began to detect ripples inside Fang Wei that filled him with a sense of danger. He's not Fang Wei, he thought, eyes flickering with cold light. Fang Wei's energy surpassed what it had been. The one thought Yellow Spring's Tao was unleashed again, but differently. Rumbling sounds rose as the Yellow Spring swept out, attacking Meng Hao directly in midair. A huge boom rattled out as over 100 moves were exchanged in a short time. "That's all you can do?" Fang Wei asked, voice coldly sinister. "This is the immortal realm paragon." He performed an incantation gesture with his right hand, causing the yellow springs to turn dragon-like, lunging at Meng Hao with gaping maw. Meng Hao's expression darkened, but he said nothing. His hand extended as a divine ability erupted. At the same time, Fang Wei's 241 immortal meridians appeared, but apparently he wasn't finished. More meridians appeared. 261, 271. Massive rumbling filled the air as Fang Wei's aura exploded upward, stunning the observing cultivators of the ninth mountain and sea. Fang Wei's immortal meridians, they're still increasing. Unbelievable. What's going on? The cultivators were dumbstruck, but the Tao Realm patriarchs merely frowned, piecing together what was happening. He's possessed. After he became immortal, he was possessed, though not perfectly. People who reach the absolute pinnacle of immortal meridians are rare in the 9 mountains and seas. Someone must have planted a Tao seed in Fang Wei as a gamble, betting that, as Fang Wei grew, that person would have a chance at success. Bloodline is secondary. They would have to be of the same bloodline and cultivate the same technique. Even more important, both would need a drop of blood from the legendary underworld clan. The Tao Realm patriarch stayed silent, watching Fang Wei with curiosity and shock. Back on planet East Victory, Fang Wei's immortal meridians kept erupting. 291, 300. Massive rumbling shook the air. Meng Hao's eyes widened as the meridians continued to increase. Though shocked, he didn't hesitate. He waved his hand, transforming into a golden rock. Numerous mountain chains crushed down toward Fang Wei, whose laughter rang out as his energy kept rising. Killing intent flickered in Meng Hao's eyes. A domineering aura surged out, and his immortal realm paragon cultivation base exploded with power. The starstone vanished from his left eye, transforming into starlight in his palm. It covered his body as the one-thought stellar transformation manifested, turning him into an enormous planet that shot toward Fang Wei. Piercing whistles rang out as the planet emitted shocking pressure over everything. Rocks shattered and rose into the air, and nearby battling cultivators were pushed aside by a powerful force. The 3,000-meter planetary asteroid shot through the air, filled with incredible power. In a blink, it was upon Fang Wei. But in that instant, Fang Wei's eyes glittered with arrogance. He extended both hands and roared. His immortal meridians burst with power as even more appeared. 310 meridians. 320 meridians. The entire ninth mountain and sea rumbled. All Fang clan members were shocked, all attention fixed on Fang Wei. 330 meridians. 330 immortal meridians, the complete pinnacle for an immortal who had not corroborated the Tao on his own. With 330 meridians, 33 immortal souls descended behind Fang Wei, just as with Meng Hao. 33 heavens. "Die," he roared, extending both hands toward the incoming planet. He pushed out, his 330 meridians transforming into 330 yellow springs, which combined into one. His 33 immortal souls were no longer underworld judges, but Yama kings. An indescribable pressure, the ultimate pinnacle of the immortal realm, radiated from him. Massive rumbling shook all of planet East Victory as two peak immortals clashed. When they slammed together, a huge boom rang out. The planet cracked and fell to pieces. The yellow springs disintegrated. Within a few breaths, an ear-splitting crash rang out as the planet exploded. Meng Hao appeared, face pale, expression cold as a sword. He coughed up blood and staggered backward under a mighty force, yet didn't lose a trace of that sharp blade-like quality. The pinnacle of the immortal realm, 33 heavens. He wiped the blood from his mouth, and the coldness in his eyes ignited into a massive desire to fight. Ahead, the yellow springs shattered, and the 33 Yama kings collapsed. Fang Wei also coughed up blood. His right eye seemed filled with madness, but signs of struggle showed in his left. That was Fang Wei's soul, fighting back. Fang Wei's true voice suddenly rang out, filled with his own convictions. I am a member of the Fang clan and my dream is to lead it to glory. Father, grandfather, patriarch, if your desire is to overthrow the clan then, I disagree. Almost as soon as he spoke, the sixth patriarch cried, "Get back down," and swiftly suppressed him. The left eye returned to its previous state, and Fang Wei coughed up another mouthful of blood, then looked at Meng Hao. Fang Hao, Fang Wei wiped the blood from his mouth and stepped forward. 33 heavens appeared again, and boundless immortal power exploded out. What I want is this feeling. I've finally done it. Finally, I have this perfect body. This is my doppelganger. In the future, it will be my true self. Fang Wei, you are my descendant. This is an honor for you. Fang Wei's right hand rose, and 33 heavens shot murderously toward Meng Hao. I'm going to help you kill this person to achieve your desire. Meng Hao's eyes blazed with killing intent. He looked coldly at Fang Wei for a moment, then advanced. He raised his right hand, and his own 33 heavens appeared. Paragon Bridge, he said softly. Rumbling filled heaven and earth. Meng Hao's 33 heavens transformed into the image of the Paragon Bridge. 123 meridians manifested behind it as it sped toward Fang Wei. Who gives a crap about that thing? Hell World. Fang Wei waved his right hand, instantly summoning the Yellow Springs. An illusory slice of the underworld manifested and rapidly turned corporeal. As the two clashed, Fang Ziushan ignored potential injuries and broke away from his fight with Meng Hao's 19th uncle. He performed a minor teleportation directly toward Meng Hao, eyes filled with killing intent. He waved his hand, letting his ancient realm cultivation base explode with the destructive power of 2 extinguished soul lamps. A gigantic hand appeared and slashed toward Meng Hao. Die! He joined forces with Fang Wei to slaughter Meng Hao, to destroy him in body and soul. At that critical moment, Meng Hao waved his right hand, and the Paragon Bridge descended to block both Fang Wei and Fang Ziushan. Booms rang out as the bridge began to collapse. Meng Hao shot backward, expression filled not with alarm but with seething killing intent. He extended his right hand. In his palm was a small fruit invisible to everyone but him. It was the first-generation patriarch's nirvana fruit. With the nirvana fruit in hand, his towering killing intent swept the area cold. Fang Wei and Fang Ziushan looked into Meng Hao's eyes and, for some reason they couldn't name, began to tremble. Expand. Meng Hao's 123 immortal meridians exploded with power, condensing the might of 33 heavens into the majestic Paragon Bridge to block Fang Wei and Fang Ziushan. Even as he retreated at full speed, his eyes flickered with a freezing light. He was looking at Fang Wei and Fang Ziushan almost as if they were already dead. Rumbling sounds rose, and heaven and earth shook violently. The nirvana fruit in Meng Hao's hand radiated scintillating light. This was the first-generation patriarch's nirvana fruit. It emanated an ancient aura as if it had existed for countless years, and the moment it appeared, the sensation of time inside the fruit seemed to influence everything around Meng Hao, making the region look as if it were from a different era. Fang Ziushan's gaze met Meng Hao's and his heart trembled. He studied the nirvana fruit, then a sinister look crossed his eyes and his lips twisted into a cruel smile. That's. Absorb that and I won't even need to attack. You'll be dead without a doubt. Fang Wei's energy soared, but when he looked at Meng Hao, his heart began to pound. His gaze shifted to the nirvana fruit, and an intense sense of crisis exploded within him. He wasn't actually Fang Wei. He was the doppelganger of the sixth patriarch. Because of this, he recognized that fruit, and as soon as he saw it, he realized it was completely different from the nirvana fruit he remembered. The moment Meng Hao pulled it out, the Grand Elder battling with Fang Heshen looked over. His face fell. "Hey, you can't absorb that thing," he cried urgently. Even as his voice echoed out, deep regret filled his heart for the decisions he had made. In the same moment the Grand Elder called out, Fang Wei's eyes widened and the sense of crisis within him peaked. His heart pounded. If Meng Hao absorbed that nirvana fruit, something momentous and shocking would occur. He suddenly roared, "Stop HIM." Fang Wei stepped forward and waved his hand. 33 heavens and 330 immortal meridians transformed into the power of the Yellow Springs, exploding out to batter the Paragon Bridge. At the same time, Fang Ziushan, despite a moment's hesitation, attacked as well, unleashing the power of his ancient realm cultivation base with 2 extinguished soul lamps. A shocking attack materialized, an enormous illusory hand that slashed toward the Paragon Bridge. The Paragon Bridge shook, then began to collapse layer by layer. It was a Taoist magic as powerful as a paragon, but with Meng Hao's cultivation base, he could only force it to materialize. Facing the combined assault of Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan, it held for only a moment before collapsing completely. Once it was gone, nothing stood between Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan and Meng Hao. Meng Hao retreated at top speed, eyes cold. Even as Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan battered the Paragon Bridge, Meng Hao lifted the Nirvana fruit and pressed it to his forehead. The fruit melted and sank into his forehead, sending warmth through him. His body shook and his mind trembled. He felt as though he were being torn to pieces. Blue veins popped out across his face, and blood oozed from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. As Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan blasted the Paragon Bridge, Fang Wei's heart pounded violently. He went all out with his most powerful divine abilities, roaring as he finally destroyed the bridge completely, its fragments scattering in all directions. He shot toward Meng Hao like a shooting star. Fang Wei had a very bad feeling about what was happening with Meng Hao and pushed faster, killing intent raging. Fang Zixuan's killing intent surged as well, his desire to kill Meng Hao stronger than ever. His cultivation base exploded, causing the enormous hand to smash toward Meng Hao, to crush and obliterate him, to wipe away the hatred in his heart. As Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan closed in, Meng Hao trembled, eyes bright red. A wild and domineering aura suddenly erupted from within him. That aura made Fang Wei stare in shock and drained the color from Fang Zixuan's face. Then Meng Hao let out a shocking roar. His body began to grow larger and his immortal meridians, suddenly, increased rapidly. He no longer had 123 meridians. The count climbed at speed, as did the immortal dragons around him. They roared as 139, 152, 171, 196 dragons appeared. Wild colors flashed in the sky, the wind screamed, and the heavenly bodies trembled. In a blink, he had 200 meridians. Meng Hao's aura also climbed wildly, as if he would exceed the immortal realm. 200 was not the limit. The growth continued, 213, 235, all the way to 246 meridians. Fully double his previous limit. But that wasn't all. In the moment his immortal meridians doubled, Meng Hao's 33 heavens exceeded the immortal. They surpassed the Great Circle, erupting in a way that left all onlookers dumbfounded. What appeared above was 66 heavens. If you look closely, though, they weren't 66 heavens. There were two extremes, 33 heavens above, 33 earths below. In the middle stood Meng Hao. His energy soared, and a terrifying aura exploded out. Fang Wei and Fang Zixuan's faces fell completely. Even Fang Zixuan felt a sensation of deadly crisis. It was the kind of crisis that meant complete and utter death. Fang Zixuan's mind spun as he said hoarsely, "Impossible. Even if his power increases, he's still just an immortal. I'm in the ancient realm. How can I possibly feel such fear?" Fang Wei's face went ashen, eyes widening as he gasped. There's a kind of immortal that can kill someone in the ancient realm. In fact, according to legend, true immortality is not the limit of the immortal realm. In ancient times, before the other heavens and earths in the starry sky collapsed, it was an age unlike the current age of 9 mountains. Above true immortality was another level, that was, the immortal emperor. If they look up and wave a hand, 33 heavens are destroyed. If they look down and point, 33 earths are crushed. An immortal emperor. Fang Wei's scalp went numb, mind filling with roaring. If he were here as his true self, then even if Meng Hao became an emperor among immortals, the ancient realm would still be superior to 33 heavens and 33 earths. Slaying Meng Hao would be as easy as lifting a hand. But now, this was just a doppelganger, a fleshly body limited by the constraints of immortal power. He was simply no match for Meng Hao. Without hesitation, Fang Wei turned and fled. Fang Zixuan didn't grasp things as well as the possessed Fang Wei, who was in truth the 6th patriarch. He hesitated, taking a few breaths longer to fall back. In exactly those few breaths, Meng Hao made a move. He looked up and rumbling sounds filled the air. The sensation of being ripped apart made his eyes completely red. His body grew larger and in that moment seemed to hold a vast and intense power. He wasn't sure whether it was a hallucination, but that power suddenly filled him with a certain sensation. It was as if he had reached a state where he was the ultimate representation of every meaning of the word immortal. In that moment, the 9 mountains and seas trembled slightly, and ripples appeared that no cultivator could sense. Those ripples massed outside the 9 mountains and seas, encircling them, causing the sun and moon to pause in their eternal orbit. If the 9 mountains and seas had a will, then as of this moment, it was as if that will was looking at Meng Hao and causing these ripples to emanate out, and the sun and moon to stop for a single breath of time, as if to welcome something appearing for the first time since the formation of the 9 mountains and seas, the immortal emperor. In the immortal's cave in the ruins of immortality in the 9th mountain and sea, the white-robed woman rose to her feet. She looked toward planet East Victory, and her perpetually unchanging expression flickered. With destiny like this, with good fortune like this, he is worthy of being in the league of demon sealers of the 9 mountains and seas, she murmured. When she spoke the words demon sailors, her eyes flickered with pain and reminiscence. Immortal ancient, 9 seals, are you two still around? I'm the only one left, the only one. She sounded pained, and a tear rolled down her cheek. She waved her hand, the sun and moon began to rotate again, and the 9 mountains and seas returned to normal. At the same time, the teardrop flew off into the distance, to some unknown land. Perhaps it became part of a violet sea, or perhaps a tear among a rainstorm. If it had a spirit, perhaps the teardrop would awaken, would possess a yearning and a determination to transform into a sea. Meanwhile, on planet East Victory, on the back of Patriarch Reliance, a young woman suddenly looked up. A blank look crossed her eyes, as if she had just thought of something. Meng Hao was unaware of what was happening across the 9 mountains and seas. He was barely enduring the tearing pain from the terrifying power that filled him. Knowing he could only remain in this state briefly, he quickly raised his hand and pointed toward Fang Zixuan. In that instant, his divine flame immortal meridian erupted, causing a sea of flames to appear. It covered everything, wreathing the 33 heavens and 33 earths with endless flames of extermination. A massive world of flames shot toward Fang Zixuan. Fang Zixuan's face fell, and the sense of crisis within him peaked, making his mind thrum. He fell back at top speed, performing a double-handed incantation gesture. Innumerable divine abilities appeared, and blood sprayed from his mouth. His soul lamps appeared, spinning around him, as did countless magical items, all of them fighting back against Meng Hao. In the instant those divine abilities and magical items shot out, the sea of flames transformed into a huge hand which, in a blink, had completely inundated Fang Zixuan. All of his divine abilities collapsed, all of his magical items melted, even his soul lamps burst into flames. When his extinguished soul lamps were suddenly ignited, Fang Zixuan let out a miserable shriek, his eyes filled with disbelief. His soul lamps melted, and he let out a howl as he was completely covered in fire. Moments later, only drifting ash remained of him. He was killed in body and soul. Chapter 997, Fang Zixuan, Die. /expand. A brutal attack. Zixuan, when Fang Hessian saw what happened, grief filled his face. He threw his head back and howled. Were it not for the Grand Elder going all out to block his path, he would have instantly charged Meng Hao. Every cultivator of the 9th mountain and sea stared in complete shock. They already knew Meng Hao was powerful, but watching him kill Fang Zixuan shook them on a deep and profound level. They looked at Meng Hao, eyes wide with awe. He's a powerful expert who has surpassed everyone in his generation, and can even fight people in the ancient realm. It's too bad he's going to perish, because of the upheaval in the Fang clan. If he doesn't die in this battle, his future will be unimaginable. Gasps rang throughout the 9th mountain and sea as Fang Zixuan died. The disbelief on his face in his final moments was clear. He was in the ancient realm with 2 extinguished soul lamps, and yet he died at the hands of an immortal realm cultivator. He had come to exact vengeance for his wire and had himself been annihilated. From the moment he learned Meng Hao was returning to the clan, he had wanted to kill him, the ambush in the starry sky, targeting Meng Hao and the clan, the attempt on his life in the ancestral land. All of it proved they were as incompatible as fire and water. More lamentable still, it wasn't until the moment he died that he realized who his true enemy was, not Meng Hao, the 6th patriarch. Perhaps Fang Zixuan had known. Perhaps he had always known what would happen, and yet, in his mind, allowing the 6th patriarch to possess his son felt like an honor for Fang Wei. Perhaps his way of thinking was madness, or perhaps not. In any case, it no longer mattered. Everything was settled by Meng Hao in his current state, a wave of the hand, the unleashing of a divine ability. Meng Hao suddenly reached an enlightenment. Perhaps all machinations and plots can be foiled with a wave of the hand by a powerful enough expert. Perhaps everything can even be reversed. If so, will all of the upheaval in the Fang clan be changed by the wave of some powerful expert's hand. Meng Hao looked out at the Fang clan and the unceasing slaughter. None of the recent turns of events had stopped the carnage. Blood flowed everywhere, screams of terror and rage floated constantly. It was impossible to tell who was winning, but what would happen in the end was clear. The Fang clan would be thoroughly destroyed. Meng Hao couldn't shake the feeling that the upheavals in the Fang clan were simply too strange. He still wasn't ready to completely accept what was happening. The Fang clan was one of the 4 great clans, at one time the leader among them. Therefore, it was hard to believe that just like that, the clan would play out its final act. He looked over at the fleeing Fang Wei, eyes gleaming with killing intent. "I can only stay in this state for 7 more breaths of time," he murmured. This was his most powerful state, and he could remain in it for 10 breaths total. He took a deep breath, lifted his foot, and stepped forward. That one step made everything seem to shrink. He was instantly behind Fang Wei, a speed beyond minor teleportation. That was greater teleportation. Fang Wei was astonished to find Meng Hao suddenly right there. Meng Hao lifted his hand with indescribable speed and tapped Fang Wei. "Detonate," he said softly, eyes cold. One word, but it echoed in all directions, shaking everything. Divine flame erupted around Fang Wei, drawing a wild howl. Fang Wei performed a double-handed incantation gesture and spat blood. A blood-colored shield sprang up around him. Inside the shield, the image of an old man appeared in Fang Wei's right eye. As he sat cross-legged and opened his eyes, terrifying ancient realm ripples spread out. Fang Wei had been pushed into a corner, and the 6th patriarch was forced to use his doppelganger's essence power to fight back. Rumbling filled the air, and Fang Wei coughed up another huge mouthful of blood. His chest sank inward, and the blood-colored shield expanded. The resistance caused the essence of divine flame to pause for a moment. In that brief instant, Fang Wei transformed into a flickering shadow and fell back, blood spraying from his mouth, seriously injured. His scalp was numb, and the figure in his right eye had gone dim. This was only a doppelganger of the 6th patriarch, with very little essence, and what there was had just been spent to escape the deadly crisis. In that moment, however, the power suppressing Fang Wei's soul also weakened. Fang Wei's soul appeared in his left eye, struggling. According to the plan, Fang Wei would never have fought back, but the dramatic upheavals in the Fang clan had brought an unexpected turn of events. Fang Wei's soul woke and began a fight against the 6th patriarch's possession, contending for control of his own body. "Fang Hao, kill me," he cried, trembling. "I told you that if I lost, you could take back what belongs to you." Meng Hao looked on, taciturn, expression complex. He studied Fang Wei's eyes, then raised his right hand and waved it forward. 33 heavens rumbled into being above Fang Wei's head. Beneath his feet, 33 earths appeared, transforming into a deadly snare. Rumbling echoed as the 33 heavens crushed down and the 33 earths exploded with power. A powerful aura rose in Fang Wei, and he coughed up blood. The old man in his right eye seemed filled with madness and terror, on the verge of fighting back, when a brilliant light shone from Fang Wei's left eye. "I am Fang Wei, chosen of the Fang clan. If your purpose in possessing me is to sow chaos in the Fang clan, then I would rather allow the bad to be destroyed with the good and die together with you." His true soul in the left eye rose up and fought directly with the 6th patriarch for control of his body. He had always been matchlessly proud, always considered himself the only true chosen of the Fang clan. "Damn it," raged the 6th patriarch. Originally he hadn't destroyed Fang Wei's soul because a perfect possession required slowly absorbing it. He'd never worried about that. Yet he had never imagined that Fang Wei's devotion to the clan would suddenly supersede everything. He had forgotten about Fang Wei's incredible pride. Fang Wei was a chosen of the clan. He was willing to die in battle to be possessed to slaughter others. He was willing to advance by any means necessary, but he was not willing to betray the clan. His deepest purpose was to protect it, to be seen as a hero by every clan member. He wanted to be the center of attention, the focus of the whole clan. He wanted prestige. He wanted to become a powerful expert. He wanted to lead the clan to glory. In truth, he had been unaware of his grandfather's real plans. Meng Hao's expression was complicated as he held his right hand in the air. "Fang Hao, kill me. If I die, the 6th patriarch will be severely wounded. Perhaps the clan will have some hope. Kill me." The 6th patriarch was going mad. Fang Wei's left eye was dimming as his soul fought desperately with the 6th patriarch for control of his body. Fang Heshen was still fighting with the Grand Elder. When he saw the crisis Fang Wei was in, he bellowed with rage. Booms rang from his body, and a fragment of jade appeared in his hand. He crushed it violently, releasing terrifying ripples. The Grand Elder's face fell as he sensed their power and was forced to retreat. As the Grand Elder fell back, Fang Heshen shot toward Fang Wei. "Wire," Fang Heshen cried urgently. Even as he closed in, Fang Wei's left eye began to shine brightly. His left hand rose, trembling, and he pointed toward Fang Heshen. The yellow springs appeared, along with his immortal souls, blocking Fang Heshen's path. "Grandpa," he said, voice quavering, "when I was born, do you remember why you gave me the character Wei Chinese letter as a name? You told me it was because I needed to defend the Fang clan. Grandpa, stay your hand." Fang Heshen trembled when he heard those words, and grief appeared in his eyes. "Fang Hao, you have to take my place. To protect the Fang clan. Come on, take back your nirvana fruits." Fang Wei closed his left eye and rumbling sounds rose inside his body. A popping sound came from his forehead. A split appeared, and from within it 2 fruits emerged. Meng Hao felt an intense sense of familiarity. He raised his right hand, and the 2 nirvana fruits flew directly to him, landing in his palm. At the same time, Fang Wei coughed up blood, and his energy instantly weakened. The 6th patriarch let out a roar of defiance. Of his own initiative, Fang Wei shot toward Meng Hao's divine ability. No one could stop him, and not even Meng Hao could prevent the 33 heavens and 33 earths from exploding violently. In that instant, the 6th patriarch in Fang Wei's right eye transformed into a wisp of smoke that shot out. But before it could escape, Fang Wei's soul latched onto it and dragged it back. No, the 6th patriarch's doppelganger soul let out a howl of rage just as it was inundated by the rumbling 33 heavens and 33 earths. Massive booms filled the air, then the 33 heavens and 33 earths faded. Fang Wei's body fell toward the ground. His right eye was completely dark. The 6th patriarch had been exterminated in body and spirit. Fang Wei's left eye was fading. The flame of his life force was going out. Right before he died, he looked at Meng Hao and his lips moved. He couldn't speak the words aloud, but Meng Hao understood exactly what he was saying. He said, "Defend the Fang clan." Meng Hao suddenly thought back to planet East Victory hundreds of years ago. He and Fang Wei were children. Fang Wei had always been stubborn, different from the others. He wouldn't follow Meng Hao around. Instead, he spent time alone in the shadows, working hard, trying to win the approval of others. He seemed gloomy, but in truth, he had worked extremely hard over the years. All of that had led to the Fang Wei of today. Meng Hao remembered when they were both 6 years old, about to begin practicing cultivation. They had stood before all the clan elders and been asked why they wanted to be cultivators. Meng Hao had said that after he grew up, he wanted to protect his dad and mom. As for Fang Wei, the words he had spoken in his tender, young voice now seemed to echo in Meng Hao's ears. "My grandpa picked the name Wei for me. I'm Fang Wei, and when I grow up, I'm going to defend the clan." The words Fang Wei had spoken as a child were words he had remembered even in the moment of his death. Boom! Fang Wei slammed into the ground. His aura was gone. He was dead. Chapter 998, The Fall of Fang Wei. /expand. The chosen outside in the starry sky stared in shock. The cultivators of the 9th mountain and sea were dumbstruck by the scene of Fang Wei's death. For a chosen to perish. And his actions before he died left everyone moved. Everyone suddenly felt unwilling to part ways with Fang Wei. Fang Wei, chosen of the Fang clan. The Fang in his name came from the Fang clan. The Wei came from the word defend. Misery and bleakness hung over the Fang clan in their moment of upheaval. The death of a chosen made everyone's hearts tremble. Many couldn't help but wonder, if they were in Fang Wei's position, what would they do? Fang Wei, I will remember this name. Wei actually has that meaning. The chaos continued in the Fang clan. Clan members died every moment, and the ancestral mansion was soaked with blood. The stench of gore spread in all directions. Fang Wei's death caused many clan members to grow suddenly silent and bitter. But this was not the time to be overwhelmed with grief, so they fought on. In the starry sky, Fan Donger and the other chosen watched silently. None would do anything impulsive. They stood by as the fighting continued. The Fang clan's Earth Patriarch fought Jai Ziyufang, one of the Jai clan's 5 Dao realm experts. Their battle was shocking to the extreme. Booms rang out as essence power was unleashed. Both were one essence Dao lords, and their attacks made the starry sky tremble and wild colors flash. The Fang clan is doomed to destruction, Jai Ziyufeng said softly. Fang Xiaodou, you must know this in your heart. There's no reason to keep fighting back. That kid Fang Wei had backbone, laudable. Unfortunately, he was simply born in the wrong clan. Oh really? Replied Fang Xiaodou, voice light. He waved his hand, causing a river of stars to appear. In a blink, thousands of exchanges had occurred between them. The stars vibrated, and the sealing shield around them trembled. The three great Taoist societies won't be coming, said Jai Ziyufeng, laughing. The Fang clan might have put on a good show of being powerful, but the Jai clan long since concluded that your claim to have secret Tao realm experts is false. You really are the only Tao realm cultivator. What do you have then that will allow you to reverse fate? Jai Ziyufeng's killing intent swirled. Booms rang out between them. If you're so certain of that, why probe me with words? Fang Xiaodou replied indifferently. Jai Ziyufeng frowned. She wasn't in truth certain. After all, this was the Fang clan. In years past, they had been as glorious as the Jai clan, one of the two great battle clans under Lord Li. The Jai clan was certain the Fang clan was in decline, able only to put on a show of glory, weak at its core. But they could not underestimate the resources the clan had at its disposal. Especially Fang Xiaodou, who seemed completely unruffled by the rivers of blood flowing in the Fang clan on planet East Victory. His calm caused Jai Ziyufeng a measure of unease. He definitely has trump cards, but what are they? Meanwhile, Fang Hessian hovered in midair above planet East Victory, trembling as he stared at Fang Wei's body. Beneath the ancestral mansion, the sixth patriarch, fighting desperately with the seventh patriarch, coughed up a mouthful of blood. Meng Hao stood in silence, looking down at Fang Wei's corpse. He felt no excitement at having retrieved his nirvana fruits. Deep in his heart, he sighed. He walked to Fang Wei's corpse and knelt next to it. He placed his hand on Fang Wei's chest and pushed lightly. Fang Wei's body vanished into his bag of holding. He did not want the body desecrated in the chaos. Later, there would be a burial, a grand funeral. Meng Hao stood there thinking. At first, I didn't want to come here to planet East Victory. I wanted to go directly to the immortal ancient Taoist rite, but Father sent me here to retrieve my nirvana fruits. He thought back over everything since his return, and a thought suddenly sprang up. These upheavals in the clan, all of this, could it be that Father actually knew it all was going to happen? Even as Meng Hao stood thinking, shrill laughter came from Fang Hessian. Fang Hao, what are you doing? Give Wire back to me immediately. Meng Hao turned to look at Fang Hessian, then said quietly, He's my clan brother. My little bro didn't betray the clan, and his corpse will not be defiled after death. Fang Hessian turned back from this path. There's no turning back. Ziyushan, Wire, I can't turn back. Fang Hessian's hair was in disarray, eyes bloodshot. He seemed to have gone mad, and as he glared at Meng Hao, killing intent boiled off of him. You son of a bitch. You killed Ziyushan and you killed Wire. Why are you still alive? Why the hell are you still alive? Fang Hessian threw his head back and laughed bitterly. His cultivation base erupted. He had the power of 3 extinguished soul lamps, but under extreme provocation, the ripples of death spread from him as he went all out, burning his own life force to suddenly extinguish 3 more soul lamps. Now he raged with the destructive power of 6 extinguished soul lamps, shaking heaven and earth. The Grand Elder moved to interfere, but Fang Hessian flicked his sleeve and shoved him away. Fang Hao, it's time to die, Fang Hessian roared, transforming into a beam of light that shot toward Meng Hao. 3 elders from Fang Wei's bloodline appeared behind him, joining the deadly assault. 19th Uncle tried to intercept them, as did other direct bloodline members, but none succeeded. Hey, 19th Uncle cried urgently. It was at this point that the first-generation patriarch's nirvana fruit emerged from Meng Hao's forehead. His aura and cultivation base slipped down from the level of immortal emperor back to its original realm. His expression was calm. He could sense something he had been constantly calling out to, the aura of the terracotta soldier. It was coming. After so much calling, the ancestral land had begun to send ripples into Meng Hao's heart. He looked calmly at Fang Hessian, and his eyes suddenly shone with a cold flicker. He didn't move a muscle, he just watched. Fang Hessian closed in, less than 300 meters away now. The power of 6 extinguished soul lamps burst out explosively, transforming into a gigantic golden lotus that emanated a shocking murderous aura. This was a golden lotus that seemed capable of exterminating any immortal. Even ancient realm cultivators with 4 extinguished soul lamps or fewer would be killed by it. Rumbling rose as the enormous golden lotus smashed murderously toward Meng Hao. Meng Hao didn't move. He looked forward as cold as ever. Then, cracking sounds erupted directly in front of him, and everything shook. A massive rift opened in the air before him. It was as if an enormous, invisible blade had slashed through the air, splitting it apart and creating a gigantic fissure. In the same moment the rift appeared, it was possible to glimpse the Fang clan ancestral land. Then an archaic and ancient greatsword emerged noiselessly from within the rift. It slashed down, seemingly capable of rending heaven and earth. Boundless light shone from the blade. The light flashed past the incoming golden lotus, which was immediately slashed in two. It fell apart instantly, and then the light moved on toward Fang Hessian. Fang Hessian's 6 extinguished soul lamps trembled violently and began to crack and collapse, as did all his divine abilities and Taoist magics. The light passed Fang Hessian and bore down on the 3 ancient realm elders, who began to tremble violently. Their soul lamps shattered, and they were physically locked in midair. Their eyes shone with disbelief as they looked down. Everything was over. The light shot into the sky, and when it vanished, 3 heads flew high into the air, and 3 headless bodies plummeted to the ground. The entire battlefield went completely silent. The 3 elders behind Fang Hessian were dead. Souls extinguished, slaughtered. One sword attack killed 3 ancient realm experts. As for Fang Hessian, a long line of blood appeared on his neck. It wasn't 3 ancient realm experts killed, it was 4. Fang Hessian had barely held onto his life, preventing his head from falling off. He looked into the rift with despair and disbelief. What had just happened rocked the heavens, shook the earth, and completely shocked every cultivator of the 9th mountain and sea. The clan members of the Fang clan, traitors and loyalists alike, felt an unprecedentedly cold aura that made them shiver. They looked over at Meng Hao, the rift, and the archaic sword. Slowly, a 3,000-meter figure stepped out from within the rift. Boom, boom, boom. Every heart began to pound with each step. When the figure became visible, everyone in the entire Fang clan cried out in alarm and disbelief. That's the Tao guardsman of the ancestral land. It's not just a statue. How is it moving? The Tao guardsman, for years and years it has stood unmoving. According to legend, it flew here from out in the heavens. It's supposedly waiting for someone. Now it's actually moving. Could it be because of the rebellion in the clan? All clan members were shocked. Cultivators' minds spun. They couldn't believe what was happening. Simultaneously, the aura of a quasi-Tao paragon exploded from the terracotta soldier. The aura spread out, shaking everything. Endless rumbling sounds rose, and every Fang clan member's heart trembled. Ripples capable of sweeping away anyone in the ancient realm rolled outward. That was the madness of a quasi-Tao paragon. In the starry sky, Jai Ziyufeng, still fighting desperately with the Fang clan Earth Patriarch, sensed what was happening. Her eyes widened. "So that's your trump card," she said. "Did you really think a quasi-Tao realm Tao guardsman could resolve the crisis in the Fang clan?" Even as Jai Ziyufeng spoke, Fang clan Earth Patriarch Fang Xiaodao felt shock rise within him. This development was something he hadn't anticipated at all. "The resources of the Fang clan run too deep for someone like you to speculate about," he said. "The Tao guardsman is naturally something that I—" Before he could finish, he suddenly stopped speaking. His eyes went wide as he looked toward planet East Victory. Jai Ziyufeng had the same reaction and stared in shock. What they saw was the Tao guardsman step fully out onto planet East Victory. As the aura of a quasi-Tao paragon radiated outward, the Tao guardsman suddenly bent down on one knee and lowered its head in greeting to Meng Hao. Everyone was flabbergasted. This. The Tao guardsman is kneeling to Meng Hao. How could karma play out like this? What is going on? Even the Tao guardsman is going to protect him. Blood oozed from Fang Hessian's mouth, and he began to laugh bitterly. Then blood exploded from his neck, and his head toppled from his body, which tumbled to the ground, dead. Chapter 999. The Terracotta Soldier Arrives. /expand. In the same moment that everyone was flabbergasted by the appearance of the terracotta soldier, it lifted its head and looked at Meng Hao. Apparently sensing Meng Hao's divine will, it hefted its greatsword and began to slaughter its way into the Fang clan ancestral mansion. As of this moment, the traitorous clan members were completely shaken mentally and could feel fear rising up within them. The terrifying aura of a quasi-Tao paragon could easily slaughter any and all ancient realm experts. Without a way to fight back against the terracotta soldier, the rebellion would be almost instantly crushed. A powerful expert could, based on strength alone, crush any and all plots and schemes. Rumbling filled the air as the terracotta soldier went on the attack. The loyal members of the Fang clan were extremely excited, and the traitors had no choice but to fall back against the onslaught, their scalps numb. As of this moment, the battle had reached a complete turning point. The various sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea were also astonished, and many of them had already come to the conclusion that the terracotta soldier must the Fang clan's trump card. In the moment that the terracotta soldier began slaughtering its way through the ancestral mansion, suddenly, Jai Ziyufang began to chuckle, and then sighed inwardly. Even though the Fang clan was awash with torrents of blood, they still made her feel uneasy. She had not been able to tell what Fang Xiaodao was thinking, and had been ever vigilant regarding their mysterious trump card. However, now that the Fang clan had played that trump card, Jai Ziyufang became completely confident. Chuckling, she sent out a type of divine will that instantly caused the faces of 3 of the chosen outside in the starry sky to flicker. Almost in the same moment that their expressions changed, fissures appeared in their foreheads. In the blink of an eye, those fissures had cut down to their jaws, and then past their chests. It was as if a sharp blade had sliced them in half. Blood sprayed out as 3 unfamiliar cultivators suddenly stepped out from inside of their bodies. When they emerged, they were no larger than infants, and yet they rapidly grew bigger. They quickly grew to ordinary size, and soon it was obvious that they were 3 old men. As soon as they appeared, their energy surged, and a strong death aura rose up from them, as if not much of their flame of life remained to burn inside of them. Apparently, their longevity had left them poised on the brink of death for years. However, the auras they emitted indicated that they were extremely powerful. The starry sky trembled, and everything went dim because these men emanated the aura of quasi-Dao paragons. As they stepped out, the other chosen such as Fan Donger and the others stared in shock. Their hearts beat wildly as they witnessed everything that was happening. The 3 old men smiled coldly, and it was obvious that their eyes were filled with madness. They looked like 3 immortal divinities, powerful enough to shake the heavens. Endless ripples spread out into the stars, and everything trembled as they shot toward planet East Victory. Their speed was virtually indescribable, and they seemed deranged, bent on destroying everything, as if they wished to release all of the darkness that they had accumulated throughout their entire lives. It didn't matter what the horrifying consequences of their deaths would be. They wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. All of the sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea looked at the 3 men with utter shock, and felt incredible coldness rising up in their hearts. So this is how the Jai clan does things, huh? 3 quasi-Dao paragons, their descendants, are all sects that long since became subservient to the Jai clan. Wow, just how many years in advance did the Jai clan prepare to overthrow the Fang clan? Up in the starry sky, Fang Xiaodao also saw what was happening, and a strange expression could be seen on his face that no one could possibly interpret. When Jai Ziyufang saw the look, she could suddenly hear her own heart pounding in her chest. "You're not worried?" she asked. "Why would I be worried?" he responded. Fang Xiaodao smiled slightly, then waved his hand, unleashing a divine ability as he resumed battling with Jai Ziyufang. Could it be that the statue isn't his trump card? She thought, feeling shocked. Where is Fang Xiaodao's confidence coming from? Why is he so unperturbed? Killing intent gleamed in Jai Ziyufang's phoenix-like eyes. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll worry about it after the Fang clan is destroyed. Booms filled the air as the 3 quasi-Dao paragons descended upon planet East Victory, filled with the madness of extermination and shocking auras. The sky went dim, the ground quaked, and rivers flowed in reverse. From the ground, the 3 men looked like shooting stars exuding an air of madness. They shot toward the Fang clan ancestral mansion, sending massive pressure out ahead of them. The ground shook, and numerous buildings collapsed. The resulting dust didn't dare to rise up into the air, but was crushed back down onto the surface of the ground. All of the members of the Fang clan looked on with flickering faces. Many couldn't take the pressure, and coughed up mouthfuls of blood. The 3 old men shot like meteors toward the terracotta soldier and the loyal members of the Fang clan. The traitors immediately went wild with joy, and booms echoed out as slaughter was once again unleashed in the ancestral mansion. The terracotta soldier looked up, then, without the slightest hesitation, flew up and went all out with every scrap of power it had to block the descending 3 old men. Everything went dim, the heavenly bodies shook, and a fierce wind kicked up. Meng Hao's mind trembled as he saw the terracotta soldier flying into battle. He saw the look of madness and violence in the three old men. They almost didn't look like cultivators, but rather wild beasts that wanted to exterminate all living things. It was as if they wanted to make an accounting with all of heaven and earth. Why do we have to die so soon when other people can continue to live? Since we're going to die, the more people we can take with us to the grave, the more glorious it will be. Quasi-Dao Paragon, thought Meng Hao, instantly understanding the situation. The reason why Quasi-Dao experts were called paragons was because of fear, because people in that realm were absolutely insane. Because they were on the verge of death, they had no fear. All of the darkness that had built up in their hearts could explode out at any time. Each and every one of them could make all living things weep. The three old men laughed coldly, and when they spoke, their hoarse voices were filled with incredible savagery and insanity. Trifling statue, screw off. Today I will be baptized in blood. Not a single one of you vile Fang clan cultivators will be left alive. You'll all die. From today forth, there will no longer be a Fang clan in the Ninth Mountain and Sea. There will be a new clan. Booms could be heard as the terracotta soldier slammed into the three old men, who joined forces in attack, unleashing powerful divine abilities. The sun, moon, and the skies above materialized, transforming into three beams of destructive light that smashed into the terracotta soldier. Massive booms could be heard as the terracotta soldier swung its greatsword, using all of its power to fight back against the three men. The terracotta soldier was forced back over and over again. Cracking sounds emanated out from it, and its body was covered in fissures. However, it vastly diminished the speed with which the three old men were advancing. "Terracotta soldier," cried Meng Hao, his eyes bloodshot. His heart hurt to see even one crack on the gift left behind by his foster father, so the fact that numerous cracks were now visible tore at his insides. Unfortunately, the terracotta soldier was not capable of simultaneously fighting back against three opponents, relying only on its own power. Furthermore, Meng Hao's cultivation base was simply insufficient to make a difference in this genocidal battle. The members of the Fang clan were in a state of despair. Some let out miserable shrieks and resorted to self-detonation to protect the clan. Others stood there trembling, unsure of what to do. All types of attitudes and characters appeared within the members of the Fang clan at this point in time. It was then that, all of a sudden, a cold harumph could be heard echoing from outside of the ancestral mansion from the Tao of Alchemy Division. Next, an incredible aura exploded out from that same region, along with a dense cloud of insects. They turned into a bright beam of light completely made up of unicorn immortals. In the middle of all the unicorn immortals was a person, who, when Meng Hao saw him, caused him to gape. It was Pill Elder Fang Danyan. His cultivation base exploded with power similar to that of the 6 patriarchs located underneath the Fang clan. It was the rippling power of at least 10 extinguished soul lamps. At first, it didn't seem powerful enough to even cause the Quasi-Dao paragons to tremble. However, as they flew out, the unicorn immortals began to explode. They transformed into beams of light that bored madly into Fang Danyan, causing his cultivation base to rise up with shocking speed. In the blink of an eye, Fang Danyan actually began to emit the aura of a Quasi-Dao paragon. This was not borrowed power used to increase his cultivation base. Instead, this was the loosening of a seal. The innumerable unicorn immortals were actually part of his cultivation base and were now returning to him. Fang Danyan had reached the peak of the ancient realm many years ago. Unfortunately, he had failed to enter the Tao realm and was actually a Quasi-Dao paragon. However, he did not go mad and was eventually able to disperse the power that had built up inside his body. He fused that power into the bodies of the unicorn immortals, causing his cultivation base to fall back down. Because of that, he was able to preserve his life force and prevent it from dispersing. After that, he had devoted himself to the Tao of alchemy in the hopes of refining some sort of medicinal pill that would allow him to seek a new Tao despite being a Quasi-Dao paragon. Now that the 3 Quasi-Dao old men were on the attack, Fang Danyan chose to explode out with power to defend the clan. Even though this would accelerate his death, it was still his decision. A bright beam of light shot through the air to join the terracotta soldier in fighting viciously against the 3 Quasi-Dao experts. Fang Danyan's appearance on the scene caused the 3 old men to stare in shock. However, they weren't too surprised by this turn of events. They waved their hands, causing booms to fill the air as 4 people and 1 statue fought a raging battle in the sky. Meanwhile, It was at this point that, all of a sudden, an incredibly shocking aura erupted from the Medicine Immortal sect. On planet East Victory, there was one other force that the Fang clan had never once been adversarial to, and that was the Medicine Immortal sect. According to the stories, the patriarch of the Medicine Immortal sect had forsaken the Fang clan and established his own school of thought, which eventually became the Medicine Immortal sect. In fact, they could concoct pills using Fang clan pill formulas that even the Fang clan couldn't produce. There were actually many rumors floating around planet East Victory regarding the past relationship between the Fang clan and the Medicine Immortal sect. As soon as the aura exploded out, it filled planet East Victory, suppressing all cultivators. This aura was not that of the ancient realm nor the quasi-Dao realm, but rather the Dao realm. In response to the eruption of the aura, the three quasi-Dao experts' faces fell. In contrast, Fang Danian didn't seem surprised at all and continued fighting. All of the loyal members of the Fang clan suddenly felt their blood boiling in excitement. Conversely, the traitorous clan members' hearts began to tremble. These shocking changes to the situation left them completely shaken. Apparently, all the secret weapons had been deployed. "Jade clan, this battle is over," said an ancient voice. It echoed out from within the Medicine Immortal sect, shaking everything like thunder. This was the patriarch who had forsaken the clan years ago. Suddenly, he appeared, a middle-aged man with a calm expression. As he strode out, all of the traitorous clan members coughed up blood and were sent flying backward. Chapter 1000. The Fang clan's second Dao realm expert. /expand. The various sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea were in an uproar. The Dao realm patriarchs had bright gleams in their eyes, and their expressions were extremely serious as they looked over at planet East Victory and the middle-aged man emerging from the Medicine Immortal sect. Fang Yangsu. It's Fang Yangsu. He forsook the Fang clan and started his own school of thought. He established the Medicine Immortal sect. 1. Fang Yangsu's name in Chinese is Chinese letter Fang Yanzu. Yan means speech or words. Su means ruins. So, he's actually reached the Dao realm. I remember that back in the day he was an ancient realm cultivator. So this is the Fang clan, huh? Their hidden resources are so profound. The Medicine Immortal sect is something that everyone knew about, and yet their allegiance went as unnoticed as a shadow in the lamplight. Up in the starry sky, a slight smile could be seen on Fang Xiaodo's face, and there was a profound gleam of meaning in his eyes. Jai Ziyufeng, who was still locked in combat with him, suddenly felt her eyes go wide. Fang Yangsu, so he's your trump card. I can't believe you were able to hold off on allowing a Dao realm expert like that to make an appearance. More than half of the members of your clan have died, and you even waited for us to unleash our secret weapon before making your move. But then, Jai Ziyufeng looked at Fang Xiaodo and smiled. Unfortunately for you, she said, when the Jai clan makes a move, we don't lose. This is your final trump card, right? She smiled, a smile as cold as ice. Then just as suddenly she felt her heart sinking. That was because Fang Xiaodo actually was not just calm. No, he was looking into her eyes with a profound look. The sight of it once again filled Jai Ziyufeng with alarm. "You're bluffing," she declared. 1,000 thoughts ran through her head, but she couldn't think of any area where something had been overlooked in their plan. She was certain that the Fang clan did not have any more trump cards, and therefore, she smiled coldly at Fang Xiaodo and began to fight once again. Booms echoed out in the starry sky, and down on planet East Victory, the members of the Fang clan were extremely excited. Meng Hao looked over at the middle-aged man approaching from off in the distance and could clearly sense the Dao realm essence fluctuations. The faces of the three old men from the Jai clan instantly fell. Although their longevity was rapidly withering away, they still had decades of life left to live. Now that they were up against a Dao realm expert, someone who was qualified to kill them in an instant, roaring filled their minds, and they instantly fell into retreat. In that moment, however, Fang Yangsu of the Medicine Immortal sect laughed and closed in. He waved his right hand, and an enormous power surged toward the retreating men. Boom shook everything as essence power exploded out. The three men let out shrill cries, and blood sprayed from their mouths as they retreated at top speed. As for all of the other traitorous clan members in the ancestral mansion, they began trembling, and likewise fell into frenzied retreat. All of this seemed to be a complete reversal of the previous events. From the look of things, the rebellion was about to conclude. However, for some reason, Meng Hao felt his heartbeat increasing. It was as if Something was about to occur that would cause a monumental change in all of the upheaval in the clan. This feeling came completely unexpectedly, and only continued to grow more intense. Up in midair, the three Quasi-Dao experts bellowed in rage. Realizing that flight was not an option, their madness overwhelmed them and they turned and shot toward Fang Yangsu. Rumbling echoed out and the air was shattered. Wild winds screamed and cracks appeared in the surface of the ground. The attacks launched by the terracotta soldier and pill elder added hail to snow. Blood sprayed from the mouths of the three men, and they howled miserably. One of them lost his right arm, which exploded and vanished into a haze of blood. They lashed out with extreme power, but it was all contained and blocked. Their faces filled with despair as the shadow of death spread out to cover their hearts. Down on the ground, the traitorous clan members were being chased down and killed. More blood spread out, and countless people died. Even those who chose to flee ended up finding no place to flee to. Elders fought viciously. Immortal Realm clan members battled. Spirit Realm clan members went equally wild. Everything seemed to be turning around for the loyal clan members, and yet Meng Hao's nervous sensation continued to grow more intense. It was as if some eruption was about to occur. As the patriarchs of the sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea watched the battle, their feelings, although not as intense as Meng Hao's, did cause them to hesitate. The resources of the Fang clan are extremely profound. They definitely deserve to be one of the four great clans. However, when the Jai clan attacks, could it really be resolved so simply? The Fang clan has unleashed all of their secret weapons. Does the Jai clan have anything left in reserve? Could it be that the three Dao realm experts outside the sealing shield will join in the battle? Not likely. The three great Taoist societies have already quelled the uprisings in their respective organizations. If those three dared to enter the fight, the three great Taoist societies would definitely seize the opportunity to make a move. So, what trick does the Jai clan have up its sleeve? The Dao realm patriarchs all watch closely. Something's off. As Meng Hao looked around, he realized that apparently nobody else had the same feeling as him. He seemed to be the only one in the entire clan who thought something fishy was going on. Up in midair, booms rang out from the battles going on. Fang Yangsu was in a position of complete superiority, and when he attacked, massive explosions resulted. The three Quasi-Dao old men were already injured and could just barely fight back. Blood spurted out from their wounds constantly, and they were clearly on the verge of being eradicated in spirit and body. Down below, the traitorous clan members were suffering successive defeats. They were suffering gruesome and severe casualties, and it appeared to be impossible for them to ever again seize the upper hand. Despite that, the sense of imminent disaster continued to grow stronger in Meng Hao. He wasn't sure why, but subconsciously, he found himself looking around at the members of the Fang clan in the ancestral mansion. His gaze swept about, and just when he was about to give up, his eyes suddenly went wide and fixed upon a single person. That was Fang Donghan. Back on planet South Heaven, he had helped Meng Hao escape from an ambush. After Meng Hao returned to the Fang clan, he had not acted with any sort of hostility. Apparently, his main goal was to incite Meng Hao and Fang Wei into fighting each other. After they were both injured, then he would be able to rise to prominence. That was what Meng Hao had always assumed. Now, as he looked over at Fang Donghan, his heart began to pound. That was because Fang Donghan's lips were suddenly twisted into a smile of derision. Apparently, he was not among the traitors, yet no fighting had occurred in his vicinity. He stood there, apparently able to remain concealed from the views of all others, completely overlooked by everyone around him. Perhaps you could even say that he had been forgotten. It was impossible to say what method he had used to make all of the other clan members forget his existence. He was visible, but anyone that looked at him couldn't remember who he was. It was a strange sensation indeed. When Meng Hao looked at him, he could apparently sense it and looked back. Their gazes locked onto each other, and Meng Hao's mind filled with roaring. His face flickered as an unprecedented sensation of crisis exploded out within him. Even as that happened, Meng Hao's vision swam, and he suddenly felt as if he were entering another world. It was a world where everything was as crimson as blood. The ground was like a mass of gore, and roaring sounds filled the air. All of a sudden, countless iron chains snaked up from the ground. They were red, as if they had been stained by unimaginable amounts of blood, and they flew out in Meng Hao's direction, instantly wrapping around him to bind him up. He was absolutely powerless to resist, almost as if he had turned into a mortal. Even more terrifying to Meng Hao was the fact that he was incredibly sleepy, as if he couldn't even keep his eyelids open. No matter how alarmed he became, he was incapable of controlling his own body and was clearly on the verge of falling fast asleep. As the chains closed in on him, all of a sudden, the first-generation patriarch's nirvana fruit suddenly began to vibrate inside of his bag of holding. A tremor ran through him, and then he began to quiver all over. He suddenly woke up, and his eyes widened. The vision he had been experiencing shattered into fragments, which then turned into a windstorm that swept about in all directions. It was as if some massive power had reached out, grabbed a hold of him, and wrenched him forcibly out of that world. Blood sprayed from his mouth as his vision returned to normal. He was still on planet East Victory, in the Fang clan. He could see Fang Donghan smiling at him, a cold, deviant smile. The sensation Meng Hao got was that of unspeakable fear and terror. It was as if there was something hiding inside of Fang Donghan, some sort of towering immortal divinity that could crush even the Tao realm. Fang Donghan looked deeply at Meng Hao, as if he were somewhat surprised that Meng Hao had been able to extricate himself from that strange world. He's not Fang Donghan, rumbling filled Meng Hao's mind. A single glance had thrown him into a terrifying, blood-colored world, and Meng Hao got the feeling that if he didn't possess that nirvana fruit then, he would certainly have perished. Even after having been pulled out, he still coughed up blood, and his chest ached, almost as if his heart had been tugged at by invisible hands. His face was ashen as he backed up, and without the slightest hesitation, he called out to the terracotta soldier with divine will. "Get back here." The terracotta soldier was currently fighting alongside Fang Yangsu against the three Quasi-Dao experts. However, it didn't hesitate for even a moment. As soon as it sensed the divine will, it stopped attacking and shot back toward Meng Hao. Even as the terracotta soldier started moving, Fang Donghan tilted his head, an icy smile plastered on his face. Then, he extended his right hand and gently waved it through the air. That movement caused Fang Danyan's expression to fall. Rumbling sounds filled him and blood sprayed from his mouth. He tried to retreat, but before he could move very far, blood spurted out all over his body. Cracking sounds could be heard as numerous rips and tears opened up. It happened 10 times in a row, and in the blink of an eye, he was drastically weakened, and even began to emanate a boundless death aura. From the look of it, even a Quasi-Dao paragon could be severely wounded by a single handwave of Fang Donghan. At the same time, Fang Yangsu let out a powerful roar as he performed a double-handed incantation gesture. Essence power exploded out, the essence of plants and vegetation. Countless plants appeared in his vicinity, but they immediately withered up. Fang Yangsu coughed up a mouthful of blood as he tumbled backward. Apparently, even his cultivation base was forced back by the attack. The wave of a hand seriously injured Pill Elder and forced Fang Yangsu back. This turn of events was too sudden, and if the terracotta soldier had not been moving toward Meng Hao, it would have fallen apart. "You," said Fang Yangsu, his eyes wide with disbelief and astonishment. He looked down into the crowd from up in midair at the person who everyone had overlooked and forgotten. Fang Donghan. "The Jai clan is more useless than I thought," Fang Donghan said softly. He stepped up into the air, rising up, his hair floating around him. His appearance gradually changed, and as everyone watched, he became someone else, not Fang Donghan, but rather a middle-aged man. "Were it not for me awakening just in the nick of time, I'm afraid all of the Jai clan's preparations would have been in vain." Fang Donghan shook his head as he hovered there in midair, his body emanating boundless cultivation-based ripples. He looked like a paragon of heaven and earth. The sensation of bloodline ripples emanated out from him, making it clear that he was a member of the Fang clan, filling all hearts with rumbling. "Is there anyone left in the Fang clan who recognizes me?" Fang Donghan said, his voice soft but boundlessly ancient. Chapter 1001, The Jai clan's Last Secret Weapon. Chapter 1002, Who Are You? Because of the bloodline aura that emanated off of him, everyone in the Fang clan, including Meng Hao, could sense that. He was definitely not from the Jai clan. He was definitely a member of the Fang clan. Furthermore, the bloodline sense they felt indicated that he was older than almost all of the other clan members. He was incredibly ancient. Meng Hao was shaken inwardly. This was the same type of feeling he had gotten from the corpse of the first-generation patriarch in the necropolis. The entire ancestral mansion was completely quiet, and all clan members stared in shock. Out in the Ninth Mountain and Sea, the Tao realm patriarchs of the various sects and clans were shaken. Their eyes opened wide, and expressions of shock could be seen on their faces. The feeling they got when looking at Fang Donghan was one of complete terror and fright. The Tao Realm patriarchs all felt their faces flickering, and they began to pant. Actually, none of them had the slightest impression of Fang Donghan. Who are you? Fang Yangsu's face was pale, and he coughed up another mouthful of blood. His body was almost entirely black, as if some sort of curse power was spreading inside of him. Who am I? Asked Fang Donghan. Somehow his expression exuded incredible archaicness. I'm Fang Daozi, I am, the eldest son of the first-generation patriarch. Have all you younglings of the Fang clan forgotten about me? 1. Fang Daozi's name in Chinese is Chinese letter. Fang Dao Zai Dao is the same as the Dao. Zai is son or child. Actually, the Daozi is the same as what I usually translate as Dao child. The voice was like thunder striking against all of the heavens. His single statement shook all of the sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. All who heard him, all of the cultivators who were watching, felt their minds battered by waves of shock. He's the eldest son of the Fang clan's first-generation patriarch. That's not possible. The Fang clan's first-generation patriarch was of the same era as Lord Jai. He died a long time ago, and his son couldn't possibly have lived for so long. Fang Daozi. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've read about that name in the ancient records of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. The cultivators were in an uproar. As for the Tao Realm patriarchs, they looked on in wide-eyed shock. However, it didn't take long for them to place the name. Fang Daozi. I remember that in the earliest generation there was someone by that name, who was personally killed by the first-generation patriarch. The reason was never made clear. That person existed in an age far, far removed from our own. Is he really still alive? What level has his cultivation base reached? Everyone outside the clan was shocked. Strangely, however, the members of the Fang clan stared blankly. None of them had ever even heard of this eldest son of the first-generation patriarch. It was almost as if there were no record of him in any of the clan's histories at all. And yet, because of the bloodline sensation they got from him, they were certain about one thing. This Fang Daozi was absolutely, positively a member of the Fang clan. Furthermore, he had an ancient bloodline that was completely terrifying. The three great Taoist societies were shocked by this turn of events. They could never have imagined that a powerful expert like this would be hiding in the Fang clan. Furthermore, his identity was shocking to the extreme. On top of all of that, he was colluding with the Jai clan. As Fang Daozi made his appearance on planet East Victory, the Fang clan's Dao Bell began to materialize in midair over the ancestral mansion. Then, it started to emit boundless light, and to toll. That was the tolling that could be heard when a clan member appeared with a very strong bloodline. After their identity was recorded in the bell, the resonance that formed caused the bell's tolling to ring out. The sound shocked all of the members of the Fang clan to the core and confirmed that Fang Daozi was definitely a member of the Fang clan. What an annoying sound, said Fang Daozi sighing. It reminds me of that damned old man. Shut up. His eyes flickered with an intense light, and as he spoke, the Dao bell suddenly stopped tolling. It went completely silent. Meng Hao stood there in the crowd, panting. He looked up at Fang Daozi up in midair, and his heart trembled. There was really no possible way he could ever have imagined that there would be such drastic upheavals and momentous events within the Fang clan. Obviously, these upheavals were closely connected to Fang Daozi. The fighting between the clan members in the ancestral mansion had come to a halt. Everyone was completely shocked as they looked up into the air. Even the traitorous clan members weren't really sure what was happening. Pil Elder's face was pale white, and he fell back. Fang Yangsu wiped the blood from his face and glared down at Fang Daozi. The three Quasi-Dao experts sighed in relief. After glancing fearfully at Fang Daozi, their eyes once again filled with the mad desire for destruction, and they glanced coldly at the hosts of cultivators in the Fang clan. There really isn't anyone who remembers me, Fang Daozi said with a sigh, his voice incredibly ancient. He then waved his hand and pointed up into the air. His finger caused the sky to shatter. A huge boom echoed out as a massive vortex appeared. It began to spin, causing rumbling sounds to echo out as something became visible in the vortex. Shockingly, everyone could see Jai Ziyufeng and Fang Xiaodou fighting each other. Jai Ziyufeng then started to laugh. She quickly moved, stepping into the vortex and then appearing in midair above planet East Victory. Ziyufeng offers greetings, senior, she said with a sweet smile, bowing to Fang Daozi. Fang Xiaodou's face went very dark, and he pursued her into the vortex. After emerging from it, he turned to look at Fang Daozi, his eyes icy. Fang Xiaodao, Jai Ziyufeng said, smiling. Instead of looking at this as the Jai clan attacking the Fang clan, it would be better to say that the Jai clan is just paying back a favor to a senior member of the Fang clan. Fang Xiaodao didn't respond. He clasped hands and bowed to Fang Dayazi. Xiaodao offers greetings, Patriarch Dayazi. Fang Dayazi looked over at Fang Xiaodao and smiled. You're a descendant from Old Third's bloodline, right? He said coolly. You know, I'm very disappointed by the Fang clan. After all these years, you only have 2 Dao Realm experts. Well, since that's the case, I'm just going to have to disband the current Fang clan, starting today. A new Fang clan will begin on planet East Victory, and I will lead it on a different path. With that, he waved his right hand, causing miserable screams to rise up from the members of the Fang clan. Only the traitorous members were unaffected. Everyone else felt their blood begin to boil, as if it were literally burning. It was the same with Meng Hao. His blood began to boil, as if it wanted to explode out of him. Fang Danyun, Fang Yangsu, and even Fang Xiaodao all experienced the same thing. Because of Fang Dayazi, the entire clan instantly changed. Meng Hao trembled but endured the pain, his eyes shining with a strange light. Father definitely knew all of this was going to happen. He sent me here to planet East Victory. Therefore, there must not be any real danger. The Fang clan must still have one more move left. Fang Xiaodao was trembling. Considering the level of his cultivation base, he was incapable of stopping his blood from burning. From the feeling he got, Fang Dayazi was in the Dao realm just like him. However, there was something completely unfathomable about him. Fang Xiaodao knew that in the Dao realm, every additional essence caused your cultivation base to experience drastic changes. A difference of 1 level was enormous. And yet, despite all this, Fang Xiaodao's expression didn't reveal the slightest bit of alarm or shock. All he did was close his eyes. That reaction caused Jai Ziyufeng to stare in shock. The alarm she felt in her heart continued to grow. For him to be so calm indicates that the Fang clan hasn't played all of their trump cards. Why is he so calm even when poised on the brink of destruction? Even as shock filled Jai Ziyufeng's heart, Fang Dayazi caught sight of Fang Xiaodao's calmness, and his heart thumped. Gradually, an idea was forming within his mind that even he didn't dare to think was possible. As soon as the idea flared up, he pushed it down. He was just about to wave his hand when his body began to tremble. His face then flickered rapidly, and his eyes flashed as they sought out Meng Hao from within the crowds. When he looked over, Meng Hao's mind trembled. However, he clenched his jaw and looked back at Fang Dayazi. Next to Thim, the terracotta soldier's eyes flickered, and it moved to stand in front of Meng Hao, exploding out with power to help protect Meng Hao. It raised its greatsword, seemingly ready to pay any price, even be crushed into dust to keep Meng Hao safe. It was at this point that Fang Dayazi's face fell. No, he's not here. He's... All of a sudden, he turned to look toward the rift from which the terracotta soldier had emerged. He was looking through the rift into the ancestral land. Impossible. Fang Dayazi's eyes widened as if he was looking at something completely and utterly unbelievable. He began to pant, his casual attitude disappeared, and his ancientness suddenly seemed to vanish. Without even thinking about it, he stepped backward a few paces, his eyes turning crimson. Impossible. This is completely impossible. He seemed to be going mad. He roared and extended his right hand, pointing toward the rift. It was at this point that, all of a sudden, 3 streams of essence chi shot out from Fang Dayazi, causing everything to shake. Planet East Victory trembled so violently it seemed as though it might collapse. One of those streams was just like Fang Yangsu's essence of plants and vegetation. It was an essence of boundless life force, and as soon as it appeared, the sky dimmed and a huge wind kicked up. The origin and source of all things is essence. A thorough understanding of essence, mastery and control of the control of essence, that is the Tao realm. In addition to the essence of plants and vegetation, there was a stream of flickering lightning that emitted rumbling sounds. That was the essence of lightning, an indestructible lightning that could eternally destroy everything in heaven and earth. When it appeared, the lightning bolt seemed to replace all the light in the world. The third of Fang Dayazi's essence streams was, shockingly, an incredibly strong aura of death. It was the will of the underworld and the yellow springs, a magic of reincarnation. It was the essence of reincarnation. These terrifying Tao realm essences shot toward the rift, as if to completely destroy it. However, even as the 3 streams of essence neared the rift, a hand slowly stretched out from within. It waved a finger and all of the essences vanished. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The hand was incredibly withered, as if it didn't contain an ounce of blood within it. It looked like an old, dead tree, and yet power appeared within that finger. It was a power that could shock heaven and earth, and shook the minds of the Tao realm experts of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. Furthermore, unprecedented ripples spread out from the Ninth Mountain in that instant. It was as if there was someone in the Jai clan who slept eternally, but had been awoken by the sudden appearance of that hand. Fang Daozi's body trembled, and his face went ashen. A wild look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. The withered tree blossoms in spring incantation 1. This magic is based on a Chinese idiom which means to get a new lease on life, to be revived. Impossible. He's dead. I saw it happen with my own eyes. I felt him die. His essence vanished, and his soul doesn't exist anywhere in heaven and earth. He was never reborn into the Ninth Mountain and Sea. I'm absolutely certain that he really did die that year. He couldn't possibly be alive. Who are you? Who are you? Fang Daozi's heart was pounding, and he was filled with indescribable fear as he yelled, raving madly. Chapter 1003, First Generation Patriarch. There had been many twists and turns during these upheavals in the Fang clan. Fang Daozi had awakened. However, even that was not as astounding to the Ninth Mountain and Sea as this current scene. The Tao realm patriarchs of all the sects and clans looked on with pale faces and trembling minds. When the hand stretched out of the vortex from the Fang clan's ancestral land, their minds went completely blank. The first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan was a person from the history of the Ninth Mountain and Sea that could never be forgotten. Long ago, when chaos reigned, he followed the mysterious Lord Li on a long campaign to vanquish all the powers of the Ninth Mountain and Sea. He started out as nothing, yet rose to a level of prominence that placed him higher than all the heavens. He carried out a slaughter which caused all to dread him. His mad valiance stained every corner of the starry sky as red as blood. It was during that time that they also came to know Lord Jai. They were 3 stunning, outstanding figures in history, paragons of the Ninth Mountain and Sea, people who became the nightmares of an era. They eventually gathered a following of 3 archdemons, as well as numerous other powerful experts who joined them for the purpose of unifying the Ninth Mountain and Sea. In the end, there were 9 great Dians. When the chaos of the Ninth Mountain and Sea was finally brought to an end, the Demon Immortal sect was founded. It was the most powerful sect in the Ninth Mountain and Sea, a force that all other powers and sects had no choice but to pay obeisance to. During feasts and other occasions, people would often say that without the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan, perhaps, Lord Li's war for the heavens would have been much more difficult. That was because there were numerous occasions on which the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan risked his own life to save Lord Li. Because of all of that, the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan rocked the entire Ninth Mountain and Sea. Even though he had passed away in meditation long ago, the one withered hand that appeared now filled the entire Ninth Mountain and Sea with shock. The 3 great Taoist societies were astonished, and a huge commotion rose from the Jai clan on the Ninth Mountain. In fact, the will of the eternally slumbering first-generation patriarch of the Jai clan, who had become undying by fusing with the heavens, suddenly awoke and looked in the direction of his old friend. In the moment that he awoke, all of the natural laws in the entire Ninth Mountain and Sea grew calm. It was as if, in that moment, there was nothing left in the whole Ninth Mountain and Sea other than the hand that had emerged from that rift. As the essence power dispersed, a figure appeared, clad in a long green robe. He stepped slowly out of the vortex to become the center of all attention. All members of the Fang clan who saw him felt their minds rumbling, as if they were being struck by 100,000 lightning bolts. This person was very familiar to them. How could they not know who he was? There wasn't a single clan member who hadn't seen his picture in the past and bowed in worship to it. It was the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan. Meng Hao felt as if his scalp was about to explode. The shock felt by everyone else was nothing compared to how he felt. That was because Meng Hao instantly realized that this man was the same corpse he had seen sitting cross-legged in the necropolis. He's actually alive, thought Meng Hao, panting. Then he thought back to how he had practiced cultivation in the necropolis, presumably under this man's observation, and he suddenly felt cold sweat dripping down his back. As soon as the man stepped out of the vortex, Fang Xiaodao's eyes went wide with excitement and reverence. "Greetings, first-generation patriarch," he said, immediately dropping to his knees to kowtow. Fang Yangsu's expression was calm. His injuries from moments ago were still there, but the alarm on his face before had been an act. Now, a look of pious zealotry could be seen as he dropped down to offer worship. Fang Danyan similarly dropped to his knees. All members of the Fang clan dropped to their knees, their hearts trembling. As for the traitorous clan members, they stood there for a moment, quivering. Then one of them, it was hard to say who, dropped down to kowtow, and they all followed suit. Suddenly the earth began to crumble, and a huge hole appeared, which stretched all the way down to reveal the seventh patriarch, and all of the other patriarchs with him, all of whom ceased fighting and dropped down in worship. Meng Hao's eyes were wide, as he followed along with everyone else, to offer formal greetings to the first-generation patriarch. His mind was spinning, as he suddenly thought about the things his father had told him before he had left for planet East Victory. He had seemed very certain that Meng Hao would not be in any danger on planet East Victory. The Nirvana fruits were just bait to get me to come here, he thought in a sudden moment of realization. Jai Ziyufeng stared, dazed, and her entire body trembled violently as the green-robed man walked out of the vortex. She began to pant, and her mind was reeling. She had also seen depictions of the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan, and had heard many of the terrifying legends about him. He was a person who had struck even Lord Jai with terror back in the days when the two of them were contending for control of the heavens. It took Jai Ziyufeng only a split second to understand everything. So this is Fang Xiaodao's trump card, she thought. He knew all along that the first-generation patriarch was still alive. The whole time their goal had nothing to do with the Jai clan. It was all for Fang Daozi. When she saw the first-generation patriarch walking out, her face drained of blood. She suddenly realized that from the very, very beginning, she herself had been nothing more than a clown. She had been completely confident that victory was already in her grasp, that all contingencies had been planned for with nothing overlooked. However, she had completely miscalculated the most important thing. The first-generation patriarch was actually still alive. How could this be? The Fang clan's first-generation patriarch died. Even the essence of the ninth mountain and sea confirmed it. There is no way that he could still be alive. The essence of the ninth mountain and sea belongs to Patriarch Jai. How could he possibly have made a mistake? As Jai Ziyufeng felt shock rolling through her, Fang Daozi gazed at the figure walking out of the rift and mentally collapsed. Impossible. This is simply impossible. Fang Daozi was shaking hard. The person he had most feared in his entire life was none other than his father, the first-generation patriarch. That terror was so great that, in the years during which Lord Jai fought for control of the heavens, he had chosen to sever his own fear. That fear was his inner devil, and without severing it, he would have found it very difficult to advance his cultivation base ever again. That inner devil was actually a fetter that he had shackled himself with. During the war, he had sided with the Jai clan, and when it came time for the Jai clan and the Fang clan to fight each other, he was the first person in the history of the Fang clan to ever betray his clan. He would never forget the look of disappointment in his father's eyes, that expression of sadness and guilt that covered his face. When Fang Daozi saw that, he was incredibly happy and even started to laugh out loud. You founded the Fang clan. Well, I'm going to destroy it. That's because I'm going to make a new Fang clan, My Fang clan. Those were the words Fang Daozi had spoken when his father had suppressed him. He had even laughed. The Fang clan lost that war. The Jai clan won, gaining control of the heavens and securing lordship of the ninth mountain and sea. The reason for their victory wasn't solely because of the traitor Fang Daozi, but his betrayal had played a significant role. As for Fang Daozi, he was eventually put down by the first-generation patriarch. Despite his grave crimes, the patriarch couldn't bear to kill him. He destroyed his body, letting his soul remain behind to be reborn as a new member of the Fang clan. By the time the first-generation patriarch passed away into meditation, Fang Daozi had been reborn numerous times into the Fang clan. Were it not for Jai Tian's use of karma magic after the passing away of the first-generation patriarch, then perhaps Fang Daozi would have remained in that cycle of rebirth for all time. Life after life, never remembering who he was. However, because of the magic of karma, he awoke. Then he remembered everything that had happened, and that wild desire for the destruction of the clan burned in him once again. He remained deeply hidden, restoring his cultivation base, not letting even a single hint out about his true identity. Eventually, he died and was reborn again. From then on, though, he awoke every time he experienced rebirth. Each time, he would continue to practice his cultivation and gradually grew stronger and stronger. However, he never dared to make a move. Although he had heard his father died, he wasn't absolutely, positively certain he was dead. He also wasn't sure whether his father had left behind any precautions before dying. However, he was patient. He waited and watched, never making a move, waiting until he was sure that he would succeed. However, when Fang Heshen crushed that Jade slip, the plan went into motion early. Fang Daozi's hand was forced. Of course, even if the plan been carried out at some later time, the Fang clan would still have been thrown into complete chaos because of the preparations made by the Jai clan. Their willingness to put the plan into action was due to the matter of the legacy of Lord Li, a legacy that even Lord Jai had not been able to acquire. The Jai clan had suddenly calculated that destiny related to that legacy was on planet East Victory. Fang Daozi had waited until he was sure the Fang clan had shown its entire hand and was on its last legs. He was made even more confident when Meng Hao absorbed the first-generation patriarch's nirvana fruit. Because of the bloodline sensation that Fang Daozi experienced, he was finally fully convinced that his father really was dead. Therefore, he finally chose to reveal himself and step into the light. He had never imagined that after all of his analyses, after all of his preparations, in the moment when he was just about to succeed, all of a sudden he would find out that his father wasn't actually dead. "This is impossible. If you weren't really dead, why didn't you kill me earlier?" cried Fang Daozi, trembling. The person to answer was not the first-generation patriarch, but rather Fang Xiaodao. "We were aware of the identities of all of the traitorous members of the Fang clan," he said softly, "except for you. We could have killed them at any time. However, that wouldn't have done any good. As long as you remained alive, wiping them out would only be postponing the calamity. As for you, we really couldn't figure out who you were. Only Jai Tian could possibly pick up clues regarding the first-generation patriarch's magical technique. Even I couldn't determine who you had been reborn as. Only your death can ensure that the roots of the Fang clan's catastrophe would be severed. Therefore we set up this elaborate scheme, the purpose of which was to lure you out." As he spoke, his eyes shifted over to Meng Hao. Meng Hao's face flickered. His heart was filled with complicated emotions as he looked at the rivers of blood staining the grounds of the ancestral mansion. When the second patriarch, fourth patriarch and sixth patriarch heard Fang Xiaodao's words, their faces went pale white. "Well, who cares if you're still alive?" growled Fang Daozi. "I might not have succeeded this time, but at least I get to take a lot of members of the Fang clan to the grave with me. That's good enough." Fang Daozi threw his head back and laughed, his expression vicious. The instant he saw his father walk out, he knew that he was defeated. However, what he said is true. More than half of the entire clan had been killed. Rivers of blood and mounds of corpses could be seen everywhere. Fang Xiaodao didn't reply. He looked at Fang Daozi, his expression complex. As the Fang clan's Earth Patriarch, he was aware of Fang Daozi's whole story. He also knew that Fang Daozi wasn't aware of the whole truth of the matter, which caused him to sigh. "Senior Daozi," he said quietly, "this planet is not the same planet East Victory it used to be." In response, Fang Daozi gaped, and his face fell. It was as if he had suddenly remembered something which caused his jaw to drop in shock. It was in that moment that Fang Xiaodao turned to the first-generation patriarch and bowed deeply. The green-robed first-generation patriarch, who hadn't said a single word so far, extended his hand towards the lands around him. Withered tree blossoms in spring. Chapter 1004, The Fang Clan. Withered tree blossoms in spring contained two meanings. One meaning was that in the conclusion of all things that was death, there would often appear a bit of life. It was just like reincarnation, which connected life and death. It was a cycle, an endless, never-ending cycle. Another meaning of the expression was not that of reincarnation. It was a meaning that pertained to a type of cycle, but not the blooming of spring. Yet, it was equally about life. Meng Hao looked on in astonishment as the first-generation patriarch waved his hand. Then, he watched wide-eyed as one of the most shocking things he had ever before witnessed played out in front of his very eyes. What he saw was time suddenly come to a stop, both inside and outside the ancestral mansion. Then, everything began to move backward. Breath by breath, moment by moment, everything began to go in reverse. Blood that had sprayed out was returned to the body. Severed heads returned to the necks that they had left. Everyone who had toppled over in death once again stood in place. People running forward began to speed backward. Adversaries locked in deadly fighting split apart. Meng Hao panted as this happened to everyone in the entire Fang clan, with the exception of himself and 5 other people. None of those 5 people seemed very surprised by what was happening. They were the first-generation patriarch, Fang Xiaodou, Fang Yangsu, Fang Danian, and Fang Daozi. Everyone else, including Jai Ziyufang and the three quasi-Dao experts, as well as everyone else in the Fang clan, was affected by the magic. Meng Hao panted as he saw fighting clan members separate and move back in time to their original positions. Even more shocking to Meng Hao was that he could actually see himself. He saw the entire fight with Fang Wei. He saw the deaths of Fang Wei, Fang Zixuan, and Fang Heshen, all playing in reverse. Everyone who should have been dead was now alive. Be able to watch such things happening led to an indescribable feeling. Meng Hao was completely rattled. Throughout the entire Fang clan, time flowed in reverse. The blood that stained the ground vanished, and everyone who had died appeared alive once again, until finally, everyone was watching Meng Hao and Fang Wei fighting up in midair. Suddenly, in the blink of an eye, everything went motionless. Meng Hao stood there, expression blank as he stared. It was at this point that the first-generation patriarch waved his hand again, causing all of the members of the Fang clan who had died to all vanish. The loyal ones disappeared in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only the traitorous clan members. Even Fang Wei disappeared. Next, the first-generation patriarch clenched his hand into a fist. Rumbling sounds could be heard as the world in front of him collapsed. As it did, numerous dots of light could be seen falling down to the ground. Back in the ancestral mansion, the loyal clan members who had died could now be seen, their expressions blank but tinged with disbelief. What just happened? I remember dying. What is this place? Is this still the Fang clan? Just what exactly is going on? The resurrected members of the Fang clan looked around in shock. The surrounding traitorous clan members began to tremble violently. Then, blood sprayed out of their mouths and their gazes went dark as they toppled dead to the ground. The second patriarch died, the fourth and sixth patriarchs died, they all died. There was not a single exception. Anyone who had betrayed the clan instantly died. It was as if their deaths were the price that had to be paid to return the dead clan members to life. Meng Hao looked out into the crowds and saw a young man who was none other than Fang Wei. As Fang Wei looked around, his expression was at first blank. However, his eyes quickly grew clear, and eventually he found himself looking back at Meng Hao. His expression was a complex one as he sighed inwardly. The cultivators of the various sects and clans of the Ninth Mountain and Sea watched with spinning minds. Even the Dao Realm patriarchs were trembling and looked terrified. A transformation between life and death. I can't believe that the first-generation patriarch of the Fang clan has actually reached such a realm. But how come I feel that this isn't transformation but rather that he actually reached back in time, grabbed those dead people, and then pulled them here? What kind of cultivator is he? To be able to do something like that is absolutely terrifying. How enigmatic. The Fang clan's first-generation patriarch is impossible to predict. As of this moment, Meng Hao finally realized why his father had been so certain that he was completely safe. Also, he was now completely sure that his father had played a part in this plan regarding the first-generation patriarch. Fudge, he thought. Of course I was completely safe. Even if I died, the first-generation patriarch could bring me back. But a magical technique like that is simply too heaven-defying. How could a Dao like that even exist? His heart still surged with waves of shock. For some reason, he had the feeling that the terrifying first-generation patriarch's magical technique was something that could only be used a limited number of times. Also, it must surely come with some sort of backlash effect, as well as other limitations. Otherwise, the Fang clan couldn't possibly have lost their war with the Jai clan. Could it be that it only works on planet East Victory? He thought, his eyes narrowing. Then he thought back to something Fang Xiaodou had said. Planet East Victory is not the same Planet East Victory it used to be. Meng Hao's heart trembled, and an idea suddenly popped up in his mind. He thought about how the ultimate form of one thought stellar transformation was, to transform into a planet. His eyes went wide as he looked down at the ground beneath his feet. He almost couldn't believe that it was true. So this is the Fang clan, he thought, his mind reeling. Almost in the same moment that the members of the Fang clan were resurrected, Jai Ziyufang's heart filled with waves of astonishment. A critical sensation of life and death danger filled her. Without any further hesitation, she tried to flee, flying up into the air toward the starry sky. Whether or not she could succeed in escaping was irrelevant. She had no choice but to try. She had never before seen a Taoist magic like this one, and seeing all of the members of the Fang clan being resurrected filled her with intense fear. It was the same with the three quasi-Dao old men. Although they were insane, they were still capable of feeling fear. Scalps numb, faces pale, they turned and fled. Fang Daozi stared blankly as the other clan members were resurrected, and slowly, a look of bitterness appeared in his eyes. It was all just a play, Fang Xiaodao said softly, looking at Fang Daozi with a look that contained both empathy and pity. A play in which even the Jai clan had become nothing but actors. Actors come to participate in a grand performance. The fact that the first-generation patriarch could be so domineering as to plot out such an enormous play caused Meng Hao to inhale deeply in shock. However, he still had a strange feeling. Why did the first-generation patriarch seem to completely lack any sort of expression? Considering that father managed to reach the point of being able to transform into a planet, said Fang Daozi, a complex expression flickering in his eyes. If he had wanted to find me, it would have been a simple matter. He looked hesitatingly toward Fang Xiaodao. Because your father didn't want that, Fang Xiaodao explained. When Fang Daozi heard that, he began to shake. Then he threw his head back and burst out with bitter, uproarious laughter. He turned to look at the first-generation patriarch in his green robe, his expression one of grief, fury, and countless other emotions. Considering who he was and the level of his cultivation base, how could he not understand the situation? The first-generation patriarch in front of him was not his father's true self. His father was really and truly dead. What had appeared right now was not really a clone, but actually his father incarnated as a planet, then left behind as a trump card for the Fang clan. He was the soul of the planet. It was the soul of his father in a different state of existence. Despite being dead, despite being the soul of a planet, he still complied with the dying wishes of the first-generation patriarch and did not seek out the reincarnated version of Fang Daozi, who harbored such evil intentions toward the clan. After the first-generation patriarch passed away into meditation, he left behind some dying words that I came to hear after I became the Earth Patriarch. Only recently did I come to understand that those words were actually meant for you. He believed that eventually, the day would come in some particular generation that you would become the Fang clan's Earth Patriarch, and thus, he left those words behind for you. Fang Xiaodao looked at Fang Daozi with a complicated expression. Those words were, everything I told you the year that I suppressed you was true. True, true. Fang Daozi began to laugh with even greater bitterness. He looked over again at the figure of his father, a middle-aged man in a green robe. He would never forget the year that his father suppressed him, and what he had said. Back when he and the Jai clan both followed Lord Li on the campaign trail, the Jai clan had sown karma onto the newly born Fang Daozi. That karma was very deep, and required the expenditure of almost all of Lord Jai's cultivation base, such that even the first-generation patriarch couldn't detect it. By the time he did, it was too late. He went to war with the Jai clan, not for rulership of the Ninth Mountain and Sea, but rather for revenge. Fang Daozi laughed bitterly, then flew up into the air, his thoughts in chaos. He no longer wished to remain on planet East Victory, nor to see the other members of the Fang clan. His head hurt, and madness filled him as he shot up into the starry sky. Meng Hao felt torn as he watched Fang Daozi. Then he turned to look at the first-generation patriarch, and couldn't help but think about Qi Yunhai and Qi Jiusi. He also thought about his own father. Fang Ziyufeng, he sighed. The more he thought about the situation, the angrier Meng Hao got. Are you really my dad? You were willing to throw your own son into a perilous situation like this. Well, you're my dad, so I can't say anything, but is Mom going to let you off the hook? Fang Xiaodao did nothing to stop Fang Daozi. He watched him attempting to leave, then clasped hands and bowed deeply toward the first-generation patriarch. Patriarch, please execute those who have offended our clan. The first-generation patriarch's expression was the same as ever as he extended his right hand and pointed up into the sky. Rumbling could be heard, and a monstrous killing aura could be sensed. Shockingly, that aura did not come from the first-generation patriarch, but rather, it exploded out from the planet itself. In that moment, all of the plants and trees on planet East Victory, all of the numerous buildings, all of the living things exploded with the desire to kill. This was the wrath of an entire planet. The intense killing intent surged up into the sky, passing Fang Daozi without hurting him in the least. However, when it slammed into the Quasi-Dao experts, the three old men were instantly killed. Wiping them out was as easy as crushing dried weeds. They weren't even qualified to fight back. Booms could be heard as they were transformed directly into ash. Then, the killing intent spread out further into the starry sky, where it caught up to Jai Ziyufang. Her level of terror couldn't have been any higher as the killing intent slashed toward her. "Patriarch, save me," she screamed, scared out of her mind. Despite being a Tao realm expert compared to the killing intent of an entire planet, she was weak beyond compare. As of this moment, all of the powers in the Ninth Mountain and Sea were being given a demonstration of the supremely domineering power that the Fang clan had kept hidden for so long. They were using actions to tell everyone that the Fang clan was just as powerful as it had always been. Anyone who offended the Fang clan would be executed no matter how far they tried to run. End of Book 6, Fame That Rocks the Ninth Mountain, The Path to True Immortality.